The main character concludes that at 23 years old, it is too soon to die, and also states that death causes her no more emotion than relief. The girl spent 5 years in the hospital after falling ill with a rare disease. Her senses began to fail one after another, starting with her vision. For the lady, the loss of sight was the hardest blow, as she will now not be able to find out the end of her favorite story. She did not understand if she was destined to die, and then why she had to endure all this suffering. And suddenly, after dying, the protagonist opened her eyes again, being the heroine of the novel she had read before losing her sight. Upon opening her eyes, she concluded that her blanket smelled very nice. She wondered why it smelled like that, because the nurse did not seem to enter her room with an air freshener. When suddenly, she jumped up realizing that it was the first time she could smell the scent again. She turned her head, not believing she was feeling something, because before this was impossible. She realized that it was indeed the scent of roses. Trying to understand what was happening, the girl looked up. Surprisingly, the girl was in a room unfamiliar to her. In an instant, someone knocked on the room, calling for Madame Ariel. A voice asked her if she had woken up. The maid brought her a tray and wished her good morning. The girl was shocked as she was greeted by the maid, to which she just smiled innocently, and asked what bath scent my lady prefers nowadays. The rosy-faced one could not understand why someone in the hospital would wear those clothes. And then she wondered what Lady Ariel meant. The heroine looked at the tray and saw something strange, like jelly with a rose inside. She stared at the object and realized that she was seeing something for the first time. The lady was shocked when she touched the new object, concluding that it seemed like she was in a flower garden. She could not remember when the smell had been as incredible as at that moment. The maid looked at her strangely. The maid asked what trouble the lady had, because she looked as strange as possible. She stated that she was simply enjoying the aroma, to which the maid was amazed by such courtesy, and asked what she had done wrong. She fell at Ariel's feet and began to apologize, thinking that such courtesy was sarcasm, and an insinuation that she was mistaken. Ariel tried to calm the girl, telling her not to be angry. Suddenly, the girl's gaze fell on the tray. Looking at the reflection, she did not recognize her face. The maid awkwardly looked at my lady, afraid to utter an unnecessary word. Ariel could not believe that she looked completely different. She could not understand why she was a different person. She was too surprised and said she needed a mirror. Looking at herself, she saw pink, curly hair, eyes bright as the morning sky, skin white as snow. She immediately concluded that she had seen that face before. She realized that she had seen that face before on the cover of her favorite novel, and she could not mistake it. The surprised lady asked what the maid called her, to which she replied that her name was Ariel. Her gaze fell, the girl was horrified, and asked the name of that same heroine. Nervous giggles were heard on her lips. Ariel burst into a nervous and slightly crazy laugh, scaring the maid standing next to her. She remembered that this was the name of the antagonist of that same novel. Ariel concluded that she was doomed because this character abandoned at the beginning of the game. Or rather, she was publicly hanged. The only thing known about her was that Ariel was presented as a brilliant perfumer. The reason for this was the scent of the demonic flower, Onyxia, which the protagonist Cedric Evans needed. In the story, Cedric asked Ariel to create a perfume with this scent. And being a genius, the girl did an excellent job and created a unique aroma. Of course, nothing was given for free, and Ariel asked Cedric to go out with her in exchange for perfume. And he had no other choice, but the girl wanted a serious relationship. But unfortunately, he pushed her away. After leaving her, the boy started dating someone else. Ariel's obsession grew stronger. She tried to kill the female protagonist with the help of the perfume and the poison it contained. However, she was caught and publicly hanged for attempted murder. Looking in the mirror, she realized that a sad outcome awaited her. The maid started dressing Ariel while she remembered the novel and was incredibly nervous. The girl realized that she had been given a second chance at life, and that she could not die so stupidly. She began to think about what she needed to do first to avoid death. That very day, I had a meeting with that very Cedric. When called, she smiled and responded to her name. The lady immediately declared that the time had come to end her relationship with him. She realized that she had to leave him first to avoid future death. Ariel got up from the table and declared that she no longer felt anything for him and that it was time to end this. The guy tried to stop her, telling her not to be in a hurry to leave and that he had something to tell her and show her. She smiled and explained that she would send the perfume via messenger and that there was no need for them to see or communicate. She smiled and joked that he would not turn into a rabid dog if she left without regret. The boy looked at the girl and repeated the last phrase. The thing is, the girl gave him this nickname when she read the novel, so she immediately apologized. Having said everything she wanted, the girl left the restaurant. After meeting Cedric, Ariel understood why the character was so obsessed with him. Because he has a very beautiful face, but dying for him is stupid. She concluded that if they broke up, they would never cross paths again. And this meant that there were no more reasons for death and Ariel could live, living the new life given to her a second time. Ariel left the restaurant shouting that she was finally free. Upon arriving at the palace, the lady saw a tall guy in a dark suit and an elegant tie. And Fluffy, everyone began to bow without looking at the man. It turned out that this man with a dissatisfied face was Ariel's father. The father asked if his daughter had seen Mr. Cedric again. Suddenly, the man started shouting, saying that she was dishonoring the family's honor. And everyone was already pointing fingers at her. And after these statements, he even declared that no matter how much she tried, Lord Evans would never look at her. In an instant, Ariel hurried to announce that she and Cedric had broken up. The girl said there was no need to worry, because they had ended the relationship. Everyone, including the servants, was shocked by Ariel's strong statements. But instead of support, the father laughed in the girl's face and told her that Cedric had finally broken up with her. She tried to explain to him that the separation was by mutual agreement, to which the father again stated that he would never believe it. Because she was suspiciously calm, Ariel finally lost her patience and replied that she herself suggested breaking up. The man was astonished and asked them to stop playing this trick, because it was just another trick to get attention. But when Ariel replied that she had lost her feelings for Cedric, her father became furious. The man suggested taking her temperature because she seemed to be sick. Ariel asked him to stop, saying that she was not sick but very tired, and she wanted to go home. Ariel's father literally almost fainted at such a declaration, because she simply had no right to converse in that tone with such a majestic man. The lady was very tired, but she still needed to attend to the perfumery. The lady asked for her maid to be taken away and immediately ordered her to leave. The maid was surprised to hear that the lady wanted her to go rest. Upon this, the maid bowed and thanked my lady. Upon entering the room, she saw a huge table and a shelf on which there were many bottles with new aromas. The girl began to look at all these bottles and touch everything that was there. Taking one of the bottles, the lady smelled it, perceiving a strong scent. It was a very sweet and strong scent of blooming roses. Although the smell was very tasty, it was too overpowering, causing Ariel to start coughing. Tears appeared in the girl's eyes when she realized that she had lived for a long time without being able to smell. In a past life, the girl dreamed of becoming a perfumer and studied hard to achieve her goal. Before falling ill, the girl studied chemistry. Suddenly, the lady shook her head and realized that she did not want to remember the past. Ariel began searching for something, some object that should be somewhere in the room. Her gaze fell on the chocolate box that was slightly open. Opening it completely, the girl smiled, realizing that she had found what she was looking for. Ariel found a book where she always noted down her recipes in the novel. Opening this book, she saw a very strange recipe. The lady saw a recipe for an aroma that was supposed to kill the main character. Ariel was horrified when she turned to the next page. Suddenly, her gaze fell on the love potion that Ariel had once developed to make Cedric fall in love with her. Ariel began to skim the book, because that was not what she was looking for in it. Suddenly, she finally saw what she needed. Perfume in a purple bottle. It was a perfume with the scent of a demonic flower, Onyxia. This legendary flower, which after the doors of the demonic world closed, can occasionally be found on the eastern continent. Even members of the royal family tried to obtain this flower due to its uniqueness. But the problem is that this aroma is the only medicine that can calm Cedric. When she tried to block the smell, the tragedy occurred. The girl concluded that it was terrible and that something like this should be avoided. Suddenly, Ariel was distracted by the announcement that a guest from the Evans estate had arrived. Ariel was quite surprised. A tall boy with brown hair and a sweet smile appeared in the doorway. The girl looked at him, thinking it was her advisor. The boy apologized for the late visit. Milady smiled and said that everything was in order, and if they had arrived, then there must be a reason. And besides, she would very much like to know that reason. The guy handed the box to the lady and explained that she had dropped it in the restaurant. In the box was a bouquet of blue roses that the girl used today. The advisor smiled and said that His Majesty asked him to return it to the girl. Ariel was surprised, because Cedric usually didn't care if someone forgot something like that. The lady smiled, lowered her gaze, and then thanked the advisor. The smiling boy asked if Ariel had heard the new news. It turns out that next weekend, a festival begins in the Maitland area. He said that the streets would be congested, so they should send a carriage to escort the girl. The girl asked why the people of His Highness should accompany her. Ariel realized that Cedric's advisor was unaware of their breakup. The lady stated that she no longer needed to see him on weekends. Ariel was annoyed to have to repeat this so many times. The boy asked if Ariel had changed her mind about her decision. He said he was not planning a wedding. Ariel asked to send the onyxia sent to the Duke's estate. The advisor asked her to send it personally, to which she told him she had servants, and that there was nothing to worry about. The advisor bowed and left the palace. The lady handed that box to the maid and asked her to throw it away. Meanwhile, at His Majesty's estate, the advisor announced that he had returned, and he was ready to start working. He looked up when he was informed that Ariel did not regret the breakup one bit. The man said that the lady was not so calm, but rather looked very happy, and she did not regret what she had done. Cedric smiled, realizing that this relationship was by his whim, and that she would also end it by her whim. The master realized that Ariel was too strange. She did not complain about him being late, and did not stare at him waiting for something. He understood that this girl had held him back by force for a year. The boy thought there had to be a good reason to end the relationship. The advisor suggested that perhaps Cedric had offended Lady Ariel in some way. The only thing Cedric could do today was be 10 minutes late. The boy asked if this separation was good news for the gentleman. Upon this, the gentleman only got angry, repeating the last sentence. He continued, because the man never felt anything for her and only met her because of the promised perfume. He could not understand what was wrong with Ariel, because before, perfume was her main weapon to make the boy she was so obsessed with fall in love. The advisor again suggested that the girl had simply stopped loving him and that there was no reason. To this, Cedric said that she could not stop loving him because this crazy obsession had been going on for about a year, and she could not remove all feelings with her hand. He did not know the reason for this separation, but the situation was developing in his favor. Cedric did not understand why he felt so bad, because Ariel had left him since Cedric never loved Ariel. The man looked away and said that the room smelled unpleasant. He sent an advisor to tell the servants to make sure someone brought him cold water. Ariel spent several days in the perfumery, studying the notebook and reading the recipes she wrote before appearing in her new body. Memories that the lady had buried deep inside, due to an illness, gradually emerged as she read. The girl checked all the aromas by mixing them. Finally, she created the perfume she so desperately wanted to create. Ariel looked at her notebook, reviewing all the ingredients she had noted down. Her eyes fell on a couple of unusual recipes. For example, perfumes that heal internal wounds that attract people. Knowing this, Ariel realized that she could become a true sorceress. Thanks to the wonderful gift of perfume, the lady created a perfume whose purpose was to eliminate fatigue with a single application. The lady sprayed perfume on herself, trying to see if the perfume worked. Ariel felt nothing when one of the maids asked her to try it. The lady smiled and nodded, because the servant also helped her and could try the aroma they created together. After spraying the perfume on the maid, she inhaled it and closed her eyes, expecting a miracle. Suddenly, the girl started running in circles, saying she felt a sudden rush of energy. Ariel was very surprised that the effect was immediate. The maid started working, stirring the petals and trying to channel this energy somewhere. The blonde girl shouted that she needed more work. It turned out that the ingredients for creating the perfume ran out. They decided they had to go to the Xenon area to buy everything they needed. Having gone there, the lady was delighted because the area was very beautiful and lively. The girls collected many flowers, all different and with a variety of aromas. But suddenly, Ariel tripped and fell, dropping all the flowers she held in her hands onto the ground. Some ladies appeared in front of her, declaring that those flowers would not be enough. Looking at Ariel with a pathetic gaze, the lady declared that those flowers were too miserable to attract Mr. Cedric's attention. The ladies started laughing, saying they heard that Ariel broke the date because Cedric is a busy man. Ariel smiled, realizing that the ladies were trying to get under her skin. The girl thanked the ladies for caring about her feelings. Having collected all the flowers, she replied that it was no longer necessary because she and her lordship had broken up. The upstart with a fan was shocked by such a strong declaration. Everyone began to sarcastically pity the girl, saying it was cruel of her to abandon Ariel. They started saying that it was unlikely that anyone would now accept the one they left after a long relationship. Ariel smiled and stated that this statement insulted her lordship. She told them that there was nothing strange about people breaking up, and that someone would definitely need Cedric after the breakup. They were surprised that the girl initiated the breakup. To conclude, to prove this point, the girl asked the upstart to introduce her to the young lord. She said that instead of the cold duke, she prefers a sweet and kind boy. The lady thought Ariel was mocking her because she couldn't believe it was really true. She stated that she remembered these words and then left with her group of girls. Ariel smiled, realizing that she had nothing more to worry about. Meanwhile, his lordship received a package from Ariel. The duke realized that the girl had kept her promise and sent him the necessary perfume. The advisor asked to check the perfume, because previously the girl had sent him all sorts of love potions. He, in turn, rejected the advisor and poured it all over himself, realizing Ariel's talent. The man began to wonder what recipe the girl was using, because all previous perfumes had failed. It turned out that the box had a false bottom and there was another perfume, the one that allows removing fatigue. There was also a note with inscriptions on how these spirits should also help. The man took the bottle, thinking it was another trick to seduce him, or fall in love with himself with the help of perfume. The duke decided to check if Ariel had mixed something with the perfume. He couldn't test it all himself, so he sprayed the bottle onto the advisor. The boy associated everything with the fact that he was lying in a warm, sunny field, and a relaxing breeze blew over his body. He started running again and said he was going to work, because adrenaline and energy were coursing through him from the edges. The man was amused by this reaction, but decided to look at the note. Ariel still had a little bit of this perfume left, which made her wonder if she would have enough. Holding the notebook in her hands, the girl instantly realized that these pages were worth thousands of gold. The maids asked Lady Ariel to come down to the table, because her father was waiting for her there with an important announcement. She subsequently stated that the gentleman was waiting for a girl. The lady walked to the table, where the head of the family was waiting for her with a menacing look. Or rather serious. Looking at her menacingly, the man ordered her to sit at the table. After wiping his face with a napkin, he stated that he wanted to tell her something. The father said that Ariel needs to get married urgently. This really surprised the girl, because she had recently broken up with Cedric. She explained that rumors about her separation from the duke had spread. The girl received an offer from the son of some currency importers. The father explained that she needed to marry him and bring his son into the family. Ariel turns 23 this year and is already of marrying age. The fact is that aristocratic women are usually married for political reasons. Suddenly, the lady got goosebumps because she was given a second chance at life, and she does not want to marry a stranger. While the daughter was worried about her fate, the man reasoned that the boy was very handsome. By the way, the lady will marry a handsome, tall, and slender boy, but that's not what Ariel wanted. The girl tried to explain to her father that she wanted to enjoy a little freedom. To this, the duke asked what the girl wanted, as he could fulfill any of her whims in order to save the family's reputation. The man said he would fulfill all her whims if she responded positively to the proposal. And to the marriage, Ariel smiled and asked for a lot of money this month. To this, the father grimaced and looked at her. The man said he heard that the girl had taken up an old hobby. For a man, the hobby of perfumery was considered too strange and stupid to think it would bring any benefit. He said he would give the lady 20,000 vices for a meeting with her boyfriend. Smiling, the girl felt saving money. Her new fiancé was a secondary character in the novel. This was the guy who kidnapped the main character of the novel and drugged her. Just by looking at his smile and dark circles, the lady wanted to run away, realizing that this boyfriend was simply crazy and clearly into something. She asked what kind of unpleasant smell was coming from the boy. He asked her what was wrong, to which she replied that the smell was very strange. The boyfriend stated that he also felt something similar and needed to tell the manager. Ariel started rummaging through her purse, looking for her new perfume. The man admired it and said he knew the lady collected perfumes and that they were not only useful, but also very interesting. He tried to congratulate her, to which the girl started spraying perfume on his face. After that, Ariel apologized because the smell was unbearable. The boy fell silent and stared at a point behind this aroma. The lady began to wave in front of his face, trying to reason with him. Suddenly, he smiled abruptly and looking into her eyes. The boy enthusiastically asked what she was spraying him with. The blonde said he knew the feeling he felt after spraying this aroma. The boy, with a crazy smile, said it was an aphrodisiac. The girl suddenly remembered that people who use drugs are very sensitive to smells, and they perceive them differently. It seems the new boyfriend is not as good as his father said, but quite the opposite. The boy said he had never seen such brave women before, because anyone would have fled from such insolence. After that, the man, like a madman, said that he accepted hints, unlike other boys. The girl got scared and pulled her hand back and shouted at him to let her go and not touch her anymore. It seems the guy was not just crazy, but a real lunatic. That's why he started insisting that all the ladies' mischief was to his liking. Moving away from him, Ariel realized that this smell could have been left by drugs. The man not only looked like a drug addict and a madman, but he also behaved like one. Suddenly, the blonde smiled again and pulled his hand, saying that if they were on the same wavelength, then there was nothing to wait for. Frightened, not wanting to go with this abnormal person, she shouted, called the waiter, hoping for help. The waiter himself was surprised, and Ariel asked to call security, because the young man was taking too many liberties. The girl was incredibly surprised when the boy started touching her chest with his hand. This inappropriate man declared that his heart beats for my lady. The lady decided that she would have to correct the recipe when she returned home. The blonde turned to the waiter and told him that the lady was just shy, and that there was no need to worry about her safety. Suddenly, Cedric himself appeared in the doorway. He looked at the couple with a threatening and bitter look, seeing violence towards the girl. His gaze was full of jealousy and malice, because no one has the right to touch his ex-girlfriend without his consent. He grabbed the insolent man by the hand and asked what was going on here, shining his gaze upon him. The man shouted, fearing that his lordship had misunderstood everything. He started making excuses, saying that he and Ariel were on a date. Ariel watched all this, trying not to get too involved in the fight. The guy said the blonde was crazy. He held out his hand and, taking her palm, led her away. Cedric asked what he could do to calm my lady, but grabbing his dagger, the guy asked if he could stab the madman in the same spot. The man fell to his knees and begged for forgiveness. The boy started saying that Ariel was trying to attract attention and shame him with this rejection, to which these words were refuted. The man kicked the rich man's son in the chest, so he fell, and then said that the Marquis didn't even teach him good manners. And then he asked the security that had already arrived to take the guy away. The man turned to Ariel and asked what she was doing here, to which she replied that she had the same question for him. Cedric asked why the girl was in the company of such a man, to which Ariel replied that her father insisted on meeting the Marquis's son. Ariel concluded that if she had known in advance how this meeting would turn out, she would never have come to meet him. The lady smiled awkwardly and thanked the boy. The man was astonished that they had just broken up, and the lady was already considering him for the role of boyfriend. Although, even though their relationship was built on a contractual basis, it lasted more than 6 months. Cedric stated that in such situations, there should be certain standards. He clarified that she should have discussed the matter with him and then dealt with marital matters. Ariel hurried to say that their relationship was still a burden to him. To this, he just looked at her sadly, making it clear that his feelings for her had not cooled down, and there was still some kind of spark between them. Although they were a couple in public and quite popular due to their reputation, if she were seen with another man immediately after breaking up with Cedric, rumors would spread at the speed of light. The girl understood that he was also not happy and that she should follow the appropriate rules. "I am involved at all costs." The lady bowed and apologized. Suddenly, the boy asked how long ago the girl decided to meet him and then look for another boy, because even before, she was obsessed with him. Ariel did not really think about that. She did not understand if she had any choice. After all, the girl understood that she could not become Duchess Evans. In a moment, he, surprisingly, not wanting to let the girl go, asked if the lady had changed her mind about the breakup. To this, she smiled and stated that, of course, she was not going to change her decision. The man concluded that if this was his lady's wish, then he should not mind, and then he apologized for such questions. And besides, Cedric said that her perfume helped a lot, thanks to which his assistant became more efficient. He had already left, so the girl regretted not having time to ask about the Onyxia perfume, or rather, about its effectiveness, although most likely everything will go well for them, because they say that the absence of news is good news. At the castle, Ariel's father was furious because a letter had arrived from the Marquis's estate. The lady was incredibly scared and ashamed in front of her father because of what might be in this letter. The man tore up this letter after learning that his daughter had sent the gentleman to jail. Ariel said the man got what he deserved, and security reprimanded him. The father asked what kind of duel had taken place in the restaurant between the two boys. Ariel stated that Cedric did nothing crazy enough to make him angry. She only announced that he had offended his honor. She reported that he said he sprayed him with perfume to seduce him. The man became enraged, realizing that the girl was clearly up to something. Ariel tried to explain that she simply sprayed perfume on him because he smelled awful. The angry man told her she should give up this terrible hobby. He literally stood up because rumors about this meeting spread throughout the kingdom. The man said that because of this, it was unlikely anyone would want to marry Ariel. The man shouted that Ariel should immediately go to the security headquarters to apologize and asked for Rob to be released. The lady said that even if she wanted to, she could not come there and do what her father asked. The reason for this was that Cedric himself had ordered him to be detained, and it would be rude of her to interfere. The father realized that if the Duke was involved in this, then he could do nothing about it. The father said that he must find a suitable match for his daughter as soon as the rumors spread, so that no one would dare to deny their family's honor and disgrace their reputation. The girl did not understand how the man had come up with this, because it was absurd. Fortunately for her father, he hid another letter from Algin. The girl first wanted to know how old the new gentleman was, because until this day, this is too important. It turned out he was already 40 years old, which surprised the lady. The man decided to give his daughter into an arranged marriage. The girl sighed and asked him if she needed to marry a rich man as soon as possible. He answered affirmatively, because he specifically invested in her education for this purpose. At that moment, Ariel realized that she was just a collectible card for this man, a card that will bring more wealth and more benefits to the family. The lady took that very card and apologized for the fact that at the moment, she is considering candidates among beautiful companions. The lady said that if she does not marry a rich man, she will personally compensate for the losses. The man chuckled and asked if she would reimburse him herself. He asked her how she would do this, since spending money is her only ability. The man was right. Ariel had no fencing skills, did not know how to control mana, but nevertheless she had a talent. This was her perfumery. Perhaps the Count thought it was a child's game, but her perfume is no laughing matter. It is a very powerful weapon. The girl decided to buy the flower shop, but alas, she was short 19,500,000. The lady did not know what to do, because she thought Ariel would simply become independent of family income. The girl would have missed it even if she had sold all her clothes and jewelry. But she did not want to open a street shop. The maid asked what was wrong, because Ariel looked confused. She started preparing a scenario for her if, for example, someone really needed money. Ariel asked the girl for advice, because she desperately needed it now. The maid said she should borrow money from someone, so she started thinking about who could help her. The maid replied by saying she could ask the chief butler for help. The lady tried to say that it was her friend who needed money, but unfortunately, the maid realized she was talking about herself. Suddenly, a gray-haired stranger offered to share his opinion on how to start a business. He suggested that the lady look for an investor to make things easier for her. The boy said he knows who Ariel is, but he does not want to be misunderstood. After all, Ariel realized that she was very popular among the people because she was an excellent perfumer. The maid asked him how he knew all this, although the boy worked in a flower shop where Ariel bought ingredients for perfumes. The gray-haired man announced with admiration that all flower merchants had heard of her, and other perfumers who came to buy flowers mentioned her talent. The lady realized that she could use her recipes to find an investor, and the faster she finds an investor, the faster she can start a business. The lady grabbed his hands, thanking him for everything. Ariel walked away with a satisfied smile and stated that she seemed to have found a solution. The maid said it was indeed a good idea and ran after her. It seems Ariel knew where to find an investor, an event where powerful nobles with good reputations and opportunities who like to dress up gather. The most popular ball became the ideal choice. Among the rich, one can find those who are willing to donate their money to a perfume business. Upon arriving there, everyone looked at Ariel askance because they knew about the rumors. Ariel herself did not understand what was wrong with the atmosphere here, because before, at balls, it was very fun. people were saying that the lady had no shame, that she walked with her nose in the air. They commented that they did not like the fact that Ariel bothered the Duke, and also put the unfortunate Mr. Rob behind bars. Suddenly, a girl abruptly pushed the lady, stating that she hadn't noticed her. She laughed nervously and said there was nothing wrong with realizing that the lady did it on purpose. She could not understand what was wrong with Ariel's reputation, because previously she had been very famous among the locals. With such an atmosphere, the girl won't even be able to introduce herself. Suddenly, the stranger defended Ariel, saying that it was not Ariel who put Mr. Marcel behind bars, but Mr. Cedric. He said that if the lady has a problem, then it is worth filing an official complaint with his lordship. And then he addressed the people and told them not to spread unfounded rumors. It turned out that the girl was Charlotte Zenos. The only son of Marcel has all the power in his hands. There is always someone around the Marquis's daughter due to her origin. Moreover, this girl's attractiveness also influenced, being the queen of all receptions. She sets trends and fashion. The girl concluded that she needed to thank all these people, because thanks to them, she became closer to Charlotte. The lady approached Ariel and asked if she was doing well. The girl concluded that this was her chance to get even closer, saying that because of this atmosphere, it became a little suffocating. The lady sniffed and asked if Lady Ariel was wearing perfume. Charlotte said that the girl smells like a cherry orchard. Ariel smiled at this and thanked the defender, saying she had a small doubt about them, since it was the first time she created a perfume with such an aroma. Charlotte asked if the girl made the perfume herself, to which she tried to prove it to her. She offered the girl a new perfume as a token of gratitude. To this, Charlotte stated that she was forced to refuse because her body does not allow her to use perfume. She was allergic to alcohol, which the girl of course knew. The fact is that in the novel, Charlotte's sensitivity to perfume was mentioned more than once. To this, Ariel smiled and stated that she made this perfume without using alcohol. To this, Ariel was incredibly happy with Charlotte's surprise, as this was the first attempt, and very successful. Ariel asked the lady to do a demonstration so she could understand what was happening. To this, the blonde smiled in disbelief, but still agreed. Ariel sprayed it on her wrist, thanks to which the aroma became deeper. The sweet scent of lilac filled the entire space. The girl was happy to feel that there were many flowers nearby. Ariel began to explain how she made this perfume, saying that she used a perfume machine to create it, so that even people with allergies can use it. She smiled and asked if that was really the reason she had come to the ball. Charlotte skillfully suggested that Ariel was looking for an investor. She began to explain her conjectures, that at first the girl said it was just a hobby, but it turned out to be no worse than a professional. She concluded that Ariel wanted to attract her attention. The lady made it clear that she assumed she took advantage of the fact that the girl uses perfume for advertising purposes. Charlotte was sure that this perfume was made especially for the girl. Ariel was incredibly embarrassed by such praise and surveillance from the lady. Charlotte said that the girl had nothing to be ashamed of, because anyone would fall in love with that perfume. She said that the lady has no sales skills, but the perfume is really worth it. The lady explained that these compliments do not mean that she will become her investor. The blonde smiled and announced that she would invite Ariel to her family's ball, where there would be many wealthy people. The lady was very astonished to deserve this invitation, to which she became even more embarrassed, and looked away. Meanwhile, the advisor asked if Cedric was going to attend the ball. The man replied to send Charlotte a confirmation response. The maids started getting Ariel ready for the ball and asked if she was worried. Ariel was afraid that Lena would worry, so she didn't tell her anything, but she wasn't sure what to do if this happened again. The maid started asking the girl who would be at the ball and why she would go there. The devoted maid started cheering the girl up, telling her that she had the best perfume. She said that all she had to do was tell her that someone had offended her. To this, the lady smiled, realizing that the maid was behaving strangely. Ariel concluded that she had already experienced one night and would no longer tolerate such treatment. The lady decided that she would try to change people's opinion of her. Finally, the lady was dressed and serene, looking incomparable. She had a set of rules for that evening, one of which was to approach first to show that she was not hostile. It is imperative to make it clear that the girl is not an enemy, but a business mother looking for an investor. But due to her own insecurity, the girl spoke very poorly and always stuttered. All of them, upon hearing her last name, without hiding their emotions, grimaced, and started asking again. And then they started saying that they were too busy and that it was better for the girl to leave. The girl was already happy that there was no abuse towards her and she could finally introduce herself. She decided to try harder and desperately approached people at the ball. But absolutely, everyone Ariel wanted to talk to frowned and looked at her with disbelief. Ariel was very embarrassed. The girl sat in a corner and watched how people made her feel superfluous. Ariel did not understand what was wrong with her and why these people acted as if she had killed someone. She did not understand what she needed to do so that when people heard her name, they would not have a bitter expression. Suddenly, Charlotte approached her and asked if she was enjoying the evening. The lady decided to open up to the blonde, telling her that in truth, she hadn't managed to start a conversation with anyone yet. To this, Charlotte smiled and said she seemed to know what was happening. She grabbed Ariel by the chin and asked what Ariel's main asset was that she could provide during the evening. This is difficult because the people gathered here are rich and famous people and promising businessmen who want to have it in their hands. She explained that in such a place, the most important thing is money. She then added that these people do not know her talent for fragrances and that they can only be attracted by profits. Realizing that people were interested in money and business, the girl seemed to have an epiphany. She realized that if she wants to declare herself a businesswoman who needs an investor, first she must represent the perfume, not herself. The main character can be someone else, but for her, Ariel is the main one. The girl said she fell in love with her perfume and wants to buy or acquire more. Lady Charlotte was right. The girl should show off her perfume in all its glory. Suddenly, the lady turned to the people who had recently been making faces at the ball. She sprayed a little perfume, saying it was hers, inviting them to try it. One of the ladies, looking at them, decided to try. This perfume was beautiful and clear. The girl really liked its aroma and the effect it gave. Everyone in the room said they smelled even better than real flowers. Ariel smiled and thanked everyone for their flattering words. And so, the lady decided to make herself known, saying that she was opening her own market, where even more similar perfumes could be tested. She hurried to tell her that she needed a lot of money for this, when suddenly someone approached from behind. A girl with a bob in uniform asked what was happening here. Next, she asked who made this perfume and learned that Ariel did. Charlotte concluded that the ladies would find common ground. This lady had a deeper knowledge of perfumes. Ariel was surprised that the new lady was as new as she was, so she concluded that they could become competitors. But in a positive way, Ariel awkwardly gave a positive response, saying that she personally created this perfume. The competitor hurried to say that it was immediately clear that it was a low-quality product. Ariel was shocked by such envious audacity and could not understand why. If that girl was a brilliant perfumer, then how could she feel what she was missing? But having talent, the girl is putting her products up for sale for the first time. Ariel thought that the lady could point out her mistakes and help her with something. The girl smiled awkwardly and asked to repeat the words spoken earlier. To this, she repeated all these insults towards the perfume, without being ashamed of anything, and without fear of offending Ariel. Not wanting to seem rude, the lady smiled and asked to point out her mistakes. Since she was a very talented competitor, she looked away and explained that the refreshing aroma should have a citrus base, and the main ingredients were lemon and orange. She also explained that these perfumes would not last long. Ariel asked how it differs from common citrus perfumes if citrus scents disappear quickly. And suddenly, the professional asked what was the highlight of Ariel's perfume. She asked me to spray it and try it before calling it a lollipop. Everyone started laughing, saying that a specialist like Lady Magnus could not be wrong. She said that Lady Ariel should learn from Lady Magnus. Ariel concluded that these people showed which side they were on and which side they would always be on. The lady realized that she had to fight to prove the value of this fragrance. She easily snatched the perfume out of Magnus's hands. She said that first she would present this aroma and then explain everything to her. The girl was about to spray perfume in that competitor's face. When the main character of the evening appeared, Charlotte greeted Cedric. He smiled at the ladies and thanked them for the invitation. It turned out that the main investor was Cedric, and he was supposed to be the one to take over someone's business. Turning around, he saw Ariel, who was very nervous seeing her ex-boyfriend. He asked what they were discussing with the other lady. The competitor sincerely told what they said about Lady Ariel's perfume. He started talking about how he couldn't understand how it was possible to show up to the evening with such cheap prices. Suddenly, the guy started talking, trying to defend his ex. He asked if Magnus had tried spraying perfume. The Count stated that this girl's perfume has a unique property. He said that thanks to the perfume, his subordinate's performance has significantly increased, and even now he enjoys using them. The girl looked away and asked if Magnus was capable of creating something like this. The man told her not to talk nonsense, knowing nothing in particular, looking menacingly straight into the lady's eyes. Ariel was surprised that Cedric decided to protect her. But either way, Ariel was annoyed because she did not need help at all. She needed recognition for her smell. All the ladies, like a pack, began to say that if his lordship decided to protect the lady, then Lady Winston's perfume was worth paying attention to. Ariel looked away and said she would leave for a minute and come back. With these words, she left the ball to devise the plan she needed. To this, Cedric looked at her and asked why she was leaving. The lady concluded that if Magnus only tried to get her attention, from now on, Ariel will force everyone to write a book of praise for her perfume. She realized that she had had enough for today and would go home to correct the recipe. But suddenly, Cedric's rough voice stopped Ariel. He looked at her worriedly, stepping a little closer. She asked him if the evening was not at its peak, and why he suddenly focused his attention on her again. The boy was embarrassed that Ariel was leaving in a hurry. It was strange. Knowing what kind of person Cedric was, he was worried about her bad mood. Ariel told herself that she had to be strong and not let this man affect her. But suddenly, the girl declared that the Count's act was very unpleasant to her. She explained that they had already broken up, which meant he had no reason or need to interfere in her affairs. She asked him if he had ended their relationship. Ariel declared that she understood it very brazenly and that she could handle Lady Magnus herself. She explained that because of his interference, things were not going according to plan. Saying this, Ariel did not feel comfortable in her soul. She wasn't entirely sure that Cedric understood everything. The advisor brought the necessary documents to Cedric and told him that His Highness had arrived early. Suddenly, he asked if his actions were causing problems. To put it bluntly, the guy knew nothing about this. He asked why he was doing whatever he wanted without worrying about others. He could not understand that, with His Highness, it seemed like someone had scolded him. The counselor quickly refuted his own words, because who would even dare to insult the Duke? He quickly concluded that it had something to do with Lady Winston. When asked how he found out, the boy said that she was often the cause of his bad mood. He asked Cedric to share the problem with him because he could give him useful advice. The Duke began to speak, saying that the lady's confused look gave him momentum and the desire to help. The man himself did not understand why he followed her then. He tried to explain that she looked upset and that he could not do anything else. The man cautiously recalled the desperately irritated look and the words that she was acting selfishly. The counselor was incredibly surprised because Lady Winston herself cursed His Highness. He admitted that this really bothers him. The blonde realized that Cedric was not indifferent to the girl, and the guy seemed nice to him. She did not know the reason, but Lady Winston had changed a lot, so there was nothing to worry about. Suddenly, the advisor suggested that he apologize to Lady Winston. The boy started trying to explain why this might bother the lady, even though the man was acting in the lady's interest. The man looked away and sighed, agreeing with the idea of apologizing to Ariel. He started writing a letter and ordered it to be sent to Winston's estate at dawn. The maid handed Cedric's letter to Ariel, smiling sweetly. She read the letter, which said that the man had behaved extremely tactlessly that evening. He said that Ariel's words made him think and that he would like to see her and apologize. Cedric invited the lady to the restaurant to apologize. He arrived in a small carriage with 2 white horses. The girl thought she had gone too far yesterday because no one had treated Cedric like that before, and he must be in shock. But she concluded that it would be good to receive an apology, and that's why she was here. That's why Ariel was very nervous, because she didn't want to offend someone and then get hurt. The girl asked the carriage to stop because she wanted to walk. She pointed to the side, indicating to the lady where the restaurant was. There was still time until the appointed hour, so the girl decided to go for a walk. But suddenly, an unpleasant sound was heard. Someone just took a picture of Ariel from behind, blending into the crowd. Seeing the camera, the lady was surprised, but most importantly, she was scared. She shouted at the man with the camera in his hands to take it down immediately, thus attracting the attention of the crowd. The stranger acted very strangely and ran away. She took away, or rather captured, his surprised camera. The girl could not understand why the guy ran away so fast, because it was simply impossible. Seeing that he was planning to flee, a plan had already occurred to her. She ran after him, shouting at people to hold this perverted man. She ran shouting that he was simply following orders. But suddenly, Cedric made him trip as he fell to the ground. Thanks to this, Ariel caught this pervert. The man asked what this poor man had done. To this, Ariel had some trouble speaking, because she just needed to catch her breath. The man suggested we talk in a restaurant. The stranger was forced to kneel, saying that he was photographing people illegally without their consent. She said she captured the camera, which he threw while trying to escape. Cedric decided that it was worth checking the photographs taken. There he saw a bunch of candid photographs of himself. He said he had his own thoughts on this matter and would try to resolve it. Ariel was calm, because anyway there was only one photo of her. Upon learning that this poor man had also photographed Ariel, he frowned deeply. The man asked to report the guards so they could punish him. The man was taken away, leaving his ex in a misunderstanding. Cedric apologized, bowing his head. He cursed at himself with guilt, saying that he had arranged a meeting to apologize. But he again caused her problems for which he should apologize. The girl could not understand why the man apologized so much for every creak he made. Ariel looked away and said it was okay and not to worry. But suddenly, Ariel smiled and stated that she realized she had been rude, and she wanted to apologize. The man said that he had treated her without due respect for a long time, and that he owed her significant compensation for everything. He also added that even considering that the relationship was subject to a contract, he could not be responsible for her. He also explained that even the difficulties she experienced after the breakup were his fault. The man offered compensation to the lady. Suddenly, the lady was shocked, because now money would come in handy. With a click, the man assigned personal security to the girl. The count said that Aaron perfectly protects Ariel and is responsible for her with his head. Ariel took off his helmet and saw how handsome her bodyguard was. The guy said that Lady Winston could rely on him. Cedric, jealous of the lady, asked her to put on a helmet, because a gentleman should not surrender so easily. Ariel objected that it would be very hot to stand around in a helmet. Ariel did not understand why Cedric gave her his gentleman, to which he replied that she could defend herself, and that Ariel would need help more than once. The lady found it strange and a little offensive, but concluded that nothing good would happen if something like this happened again. The man was a recognized gentleman of Cedric, so he could be trusted. Ariel declared that she would temporarily accept all his kindness as compensation. Ariel smiled and said that the gentleman could return when he regained strength, because she could take care of herself. To this, the man knelt down and bowed. Taking the lady's hand, he kissed it and asked her to take care of him. The girl smiled and then, embarrassed, announced that she would leave and hurried away. The man asked if Ariel should accompany him, to which she replied that it was not worth it, because she was not a little girl who couldn't even go out alone, and then explained that her carriage was very close by. She asked Cedric not to worry, because Irene was nearby, to which the man frowned too much to overlook it. He was about to leave when the man stopped her again. He wanted to ask about the smell of Onyxia. The man stated that he wanted to change the contract, which surprised Ariel. The girl immediately started thinking that there were some problems with the delivery, and then even thought a man might reduce the price by paying a bodyguard. And so he started talking about payment, but suddenly announced that he would double it. But in return, he asked to resume the eternal meetings twice a week. The man said he could pay even more because the order was very complex. Ariel could not understand why Cedric suddenly acted this way. But still, the perfume of Onyxia is her impressive capital, and if the payment increases, she will be able to open a store faster. Ariel smiled and happily accepted, because one must be able to use any kindness. The girl showed her smile to Cedric again, greeted Cedric, and told him she looked forward to seeing him again. The Duke simply replied by asking her to be careful on the way home. The head maid had many questions when Irene arrived at the palace. To this, Ariel said there was no need to fear this 2-meter-tall guy. Irene nodded and introduced himself, stating that he was a bodyguard sent by the Duke. The maid smiled and stated that she was glad to know Ariel was protected. She approached the bodyguard and announced that now they can punish all the scoundrels who invade my lady. Ariel was incredibly surprised and said that fortunately they would get along. Raphael entered the room carrying in his hands the ingredients that were delivered to him today, and she left them in the workshop. Entering the perfume room, she smelled this aroma, such a clean and clear scent, so fresh that it would dispel all unnecessary thoughts. She extended her hand, towards the new fir branches that gave freshness to the air. The maid suddenly suggested crushing it right now, as quickly as possible. This time, a magical device was used for the essence. Ariel decided that she needed to choose a target for the smell. Irene stood behind her and watched intently. A clear, clean, and refreshing aroma. This was what drove Ariel's new bodyguard crazy. Looking at the guard, she concluded that she had already decided on the concept. The lady took the boy's hand and asked for his help. The bodyguard felt quite embarrassed and started getting nervous. When the man entered the room, everyone was quite interested. Ariel bought expensive clothes for her boyfriend, considering it a worthy investment. Moreover, it suits him very well. Irene asked why all this, to which Ariel asked not to communicate with her as a lover. She wondered why she thought he would really benefit her. To this, she stated that it is obvious, because he can really help her with her plan. Ariel made the decision that Irene would become the icon of the social club. The girls sprayed the new product onto the boy's brush. This aroma, called Morning Walk, was based on cedarwood extract. Ariel added the aroma of bergamot and invigorating notes of bamboo, finishing it with a refreshing lemon. Ariel's bodyguard was very amazed by the girl's talent. Suddenly, a boy appeared in the hallway, declaring that he still didn't know Ariel, and that he wanted to fix it. The girl quickly ran towards him and introduced herself as a brilliant perfumer. He said he had heard of her because she created Lady Charlotte's perfume. Ariel said she was very happy and that it was a great honor for her that I started to recognize her. The stranger announced that the smell of lilac simply made his head spin. Sniffing the bodyguard, he concluded that this refreshing and simply incomparable aroma was also Ariel's work. The guy simply, without any emotion, confirmed these words. The man began to admire his aroma, saying it was like being in a coniferous forest. And that clean and refreshing smell gave him peace. Since the aroma suits the Lord perfectly, this feeling is intensified. Subsequently, the long-haired man announced that he was very interested and thought his perfume would suit him well. He began to explain that this aroma did not suit her. If she used it on herself, it would not create the right impression. He asked if the Lord knew that aroma creates a person's impression. An invigorating aroma is energetic, a warm aroma is tender, a luxurious aroma can give an impression. She said that perhaps by spraying it on herself, she would match this bodyguard, especially with his face and appearance. The men literally threw money at the girl, asking where and how she could buy this perfume, and then even declared that he would literally buy 3 bottles of it. The lady knew that these people were VIPs of a social club, and rumors about her perfume would fall apart in an instant. Ariel, delighted with the money, said she would send the order directly to the estate. The girl from the perfumery threw quite a few bottles at herself. She got very angry and started trembling, baring her teeth and growling in anger. The lady shouted that she was very angry. That's why Ariel Winston already had enough problems. After all, everything has gone wrong since they ignored her. All the investors wanted and asked to make a magic perfume, and without understanding how she couldn't do it, because even Ariel could do it. The land that the rival has reconsidered has unexpectedly increased in price. An opening, a salon, could be a big mistake. It seems the lady was crazy, hating Ariel because she dared to dishonor her and humiliate her in the eyes of all the investors. She affirmed that she would not forgive, no matter what, she would not pay Ariel back in kind. Suddenly, a silhouette appeared behind the girl, asking if it was Magnus. The stranger smiled and said that Ariel had really dishonored her in front of everyone. Magnus asked who he was, to which the stranger asked not to be so harsh. Then he proposed starting to collaborate against Ariel. But the lady was not going to affirm anything, nor start cooperating until she knew who he was and what kind of person he was. The man pulled down his hood and introduced himself, saying he was a C, meaning the 5th son of the empire. The girl was very surprised that the prince himself invited her to cooperate against her main enemy. When asked why he started cooperating with her, he replied that he hated Cedric Evans. He handed the girl a photograph of Evans, insulting the master in every possible way. Having seen those same candid photographs, she didn't know what emotion she should experience, which simply made her grimace. The lady was amazed and asked why the man was pursuing Mr. Evans. To this, he replied that he had long been trying to identify his weaknesses, but nothing worked. To this, the girl said that this is logical, because this is the ideal duke. But she continued saying that she found out who Ariel Winston was. Cedric's only concern was her obsession. And then he said he learned that they had recently broken up, which surprised the girl. Well, they seemed very close. The man replied that their relationship had always been suspicious. That's why he decided to captivate Ariel's heart with the help of his appearance. The lady said that was nonsense, to which he replied that all means are good for winning. He offered to shake hands with Font and told her he would help her, so she had to do everything possible to destroy Ariel's business. Furthermore, according to the plan, when she gets discouraged, the guy will make his move and make her fall in love with him. Font concluded that there was no danger with this crazy plan. One thing they couldn't understand was whether that guy had a weakness for Ariel. The guy thought it would be fun to see the rejected Cedric burst into tears. And Fonta thought it would be great to laugh at how Ariel's business would go up in flames, and she would go bankrupt. After shaking hands, the man and the girl signed a contract. The man smiled and said that now we have to get to work. A couple of days later, Ariel walked through the city and called Raphael. The boy greeted the lady distracted by his flowers. The lady thanked the boy for the ingredients and said they helped her a lot. She stated that her new perfume, based on cedar extract, has gained huge popularity. The perfumes were not only popular, but they literally monopolized the men's perfume market. The lady said that at this rate, she could soon open her own shop. The boy looked at her awkwardly and asked her to walk with him. He said that a new salon opened yesterday and thought she should take a look. Upon arrival, the girl realized that it was Lady Magnus's new salon. She decided to take a look, observe how the salon was organized, and realize that there were still many products there, in addition to perfumes. For a moment, the girl wondered if rumors about her conflict with that rival had already spread. The boy said that if she took a look at this salon, it might do her good. There were many people in the salon who were happy about the opening of Lady Magnus's salon. The flavors were not bad, and the price was quite reasonable, which made people very happy. Suddenly, the lady saw her perfume for sale with a lilac scent that was barely perceptible enveloping her body. It was very suspicious, and it seems the girl really stole Ariel's perfume. After smelling another perfume, she smelled the same cedar aroma, which was apparently also stolen. The boy asked the girl to look up the name of the perfume. The title was Memories of First Love and Others, A Night Walk. That's what the boy wanted to show, that this shop stole all her work. Ariel didn't even have anything to object to, because the situation was clear as day. Indeed, Fonto exposed her precious recipes as cheap, thereby taking revenge on Ariel with mutual humiliation. Ariel became furious when she realized that Fonta Magnus was indeed challenging her, trying to humiliate and disgrace her in a big way. Suddenly Fonta appeared with her friend, declaring that something so cheap had finally entered a luxury store. She said that it had been a long time since they had seen each other, and emphasized that the brilliant perfumer Ariel Winston was walking from house to house with goods, thus humiliating her. Ariel was incredibly angry and irritated, similar to the statements of her worst enemy. Suddenly, the girl looked at the boy behind Magnus, smiling and nodding faithfully. Ariel realized that she had definitely seen this familiar face somewhere. Seeing the girl's gaze, he winked and smiled, trying to seduce her. Suddenly, Ariel remembered where she had seen this handsome face, and realized that it was the fifth prince of the Bel Air Empire. In the book, he appeared as a brilliant and handsome man, and was described as the Empress's main pain. The most important setting for Assi as a character is that he is Cedric's nephew. Most likely because Cedric was too perfect, Assi hated him, and was very jealous of his uncle. He asked Ariel, trying to find out her personality. The man looked her in the eyes and asked if she had any complaints against him. Fonta hurried to boast that her investor was a member of the imperial family. Mangus began to humiliate and gloat at the girl, saying that Ariel doesn't have a penny. The rival smiled and told Ariel not to worry, because someday there will definitely be a person who will recognize Ariel's talent, which does not exist. Ariel, on the other hand, could not understand why the lady was selling stolen perfumes and behaving so brazenly. The girl suggested that Assi was most likely fooled, which is why he became an investor. The girl realized that she would not let this go, and asked what inspired her to create this perfume. Trying to understand her from the bottom, Ariel immediately explained that this perfume seemed very familiar to her, even too much so. Fonta fell silent, to which Ariel, irritated, demanded to say a word. Assi tried to defend this situation, saying that Fonta, naturally, would not answer, because it was he who devised the concept. Assi started lying as best he could, making up a story that on that day, for some reason, lilac and bamboo captivated him, asking him to stop bothering the unfortunate front. Ariel was surprised to realize that Asi was allied with this girl, and that she had not fooled him in any way. But suddenly, Magnus couldn't stand it, and started saying that she knew Ariel meant that she had stolen the recipes from her. But it turned out that the girl didn't even hide it, saying that no one would believe someone who doesn't even have their own store. And that this deception and theft, Ariel will not prove in any way, is related to the strong position of Fanta. Investor condition, the girl smiled and showed Ariel that she wanted her to leave. The Rose, in turn, understood that if she left the place even for a short time, the queue would simply be huge. Everyone liked this perfume. The man winked at the lady again, telling her that he would see her again, and perhaps very soon. Ariel concluded that thanks to Magnus, she realized the need to have her own store. She decided that she would find an investor at any cost. The man returned to his room, sighing languidly, and also began to take off his tie. The advisor immediately rushed to the gentleman and asked how everything went. He also asked if the man had lunch at the meeting with businessmen. To this, the gentleman said that these conversations and meetings were simply unbearable. Then the counselor said he had good news for the Duke, because today on Zenon Street, it was rumored that Lady Ariel was looking for an investor. Then he understood why the girl was present at the soiree. The counselor said it was a great opportunity, because the man himself recognized the quality of her perfume. To this, he replied that he did not think that she wanted to see him. Then the boy said that he had heard that the girl had an unpleasant incident. As he recalls, the perfume concept was stolen from her, but he did not know the details because someone told him about it too. Suddenly, illuminating the boy with a madly angry look, he demanded that Rick find out everything about this incident. The maid wanted to wake Lady Ariel when she suddenly found that she was in the perfume room, and concluded also that the lady did not lack diligence. Having gone to the right place, the lady found that the lady was lying with her forehead on the notebook and sleeping. Apparently, she fell asleep while trying to think of a new concept. Upon waking up, Ariel started drinking tea while the maid cleaned her desk. The sleeping diva thanked Rena and said that she had brought her back to life. The worried lady asked if everything was all right with the lady, to which she replied that everything was normal, except that her head was about to burst and her nose was itching. The maid asked how it was possible to sit on perfume all night if she said it was necessary to finish it in 2 hours. To this, the pink-haired girl said that otherwise they would not see investors, to which the maid worried and said that you still need to take care of your health. She said she would prepare a bath for the lady, and then she would have to go to bed. And that was not discussed. Ariel may have overdone it, but the result is worth it because she has developed a new product and outlined a business plan, and all that remains is to find an investor and her business will take off. Ariel immediately concluded that this sleepless night was an excellent decision. Suddenly, the butler announced that the lady had arrived and was already waiting for her. What a surprise Ariel had when that same guest turned out to be Cedric. Moreover, it was funny that Cedric's advisor was in the same state as Ariel. The girl went downstairs and asked what brought the guy here, to which the Duke stated that his business was urgent, and he apologized for not having warned her about his arrival in advance. The man said that not only the perfume she made for him could be urgent in their relationship, but in a moment, Cedric said that he heard rumors that the lady's perfume recipes had been stolen. The man handed the girl a product made from the perfume that had been stolen from her. Ariel was surprised that the news spread so quickly. She looked up sadly, asking the man if he believed her, because it could be that she had stolen the perfume from him. To this, he said that he had the opportunity to try many fragrances created by her, and that cheapness would definitely not fool him. But suddenly, Cedric said that he heard that the girl was looking for an investor to whom he offered his candidacy. Cedric is already in charge of many businesses. If Cedric, a reliable businessman and investor, invests in her business, it will definitely succeed. But the girl wondered what would happen if he suggested this out of a feeling of remorse. Ariel had a strong and uncomfortable feeling of using Cedric. But for an investment, the lady has conditions and thinks he won't mind. The investor asked to show him everything the lady had already prepared and would gladly choose everything he considered necessary for the promotion. The girl had prepared a unique perfume reminiscent of the scent of roses. Ariel took the Duke by the hand, asking him to go to the laboratory because she could show him everything right now. Rena was entrusted with preparing everything so that the new investor could see what he would invest his money in. To start, the girl provided him with a business plan on which she worked for about a day. Ariel's first goal is a salon. She has developed a plan to open it and also provides the concept of her new product. Her nerves were stronger than the girl thought. She was afraid that the man wouldn't like her plan and, even worse, her product. But suddenly, Cedric announced that the business plan was excellent and he was very impressed. The girl shared that in the future, she would like to supply perfumes to the palace, and that it would be good to open a second store. Ariel apologized for these words because she was too worried. But suddenly, the Duke said he would like to try the new product and asked if it was possible. The lady agreed to this, saying that this perfume is called Rose Garden, and that she used Balur rose and Turkish rose as the main components. This emphasizes the innocent purity of the aroma, and the man can smell the roses, which is different from other perfumes on the mass market. She sprayed the perfume on the man's wrist, to which the advisor said that this aroma was like being in a garden in the morning, in which the most beautiful roses were gathered, absorbing drops of dew. The aroma is the embodiment of the noble rose garden. Thanks to the fabulous aroma, a play of imagination made the man see the Duke bathed in rose petals. The Duke himself concluded that such a smell could not be found anywhere else. The girl felt different when it was Cedric who praised her, and not her servants, since the man approved not only the business plan, but also the product. He stated that the business plan is so detailed that it is even difficult to believe that it is a project for beginners. Moreover, Ariel has magnificently demonstrated her extraordinary skills in creating perfumes. And so, the man finally announced that he had decided to invest in this business. With the words that Ariel would not disappoint Cedric, they left looking forward to new encounters. The advisor said that it was not in vain that they went to Winston's estate. This is true, because the man managed to find an excellent project, and it seems he saw a couple that would soon recover. Surprisingly, the man already knew who to suspect. He said that this could cause problems for Lady Winston, so it would be worth keeping an eye on him. Cedric was sincerely flattered that in the future, he would become Lady Winston's partner, and all their problems were now common to them. The maid began to praise the girl and congratulate her on the fact that they would soon open their own store. To this, Ariel stated that the gentleman Ern also did a good job. Despite Cedric's help, there was a lot to do, and the girl decided to personally handle the store's affairs. The girl did not want to rest. She was ashamed to waste time. Ariel wondered when Cedric would contact her, when suddenly the gentleman and the maid burst into her chambers, reporting that the Duke had sent the necessary information, or rather that the store construction was complete. The guys went to see the store, or rather Ariel's perfumery. The lady was surprised to receive the news, because the Duke had said it would take at least several months. Indeed, the man demanded that the construction be completed as quickly as possible. Upon entering, the girl was incredibly excited, but once inside, she gasped with joy. Ariel could not believe that this was really her store, to which Cedric said that the second floor here was tripled so that you could live there. And the store had a reception area, a kitchen, and of course a laboratory, which was quite surprising. Ariel all her life dreamed of having her own store. She was even ready to cry, realizing that this cherished dream had really come true. One could say that she had two lives, but the surprises didn't end there. The store also had its own garden, where Ariel could grow the necessary plants to create the perfume. While the girl was looking at the flowers, the maid said she wanted to try in the kitchen and asked if they wanted tea. But suddenly, the gentleman asked for forgiveness, saying that now was not the right time for tea, because the guests outside the door were already waiting. The girl was very surprised, because they actually didn't announce this store, but many people had already come running. Meanwhile, the maliciously envious woman watched the opening, realizing that she had failed to break Ariel's spirit and the desire to develop as a perfumer. The girl burst into the sleeping Keelan, calling him an idiot. She concluded that the man only knows how to give good speeches, but in reality, he is useless and does not help. Magnus shouted that a man had no right to sleep in such a situation, because all the customers had flocked to Ariel. To this, the pale-faced man said that it was a trifle and that you shouldn't get so angry about it. Magnus shouted that before the official opening, people were crowding around Ariel's salon. And not only because of that, not even an ant would enter her store, but also because Cedric became her investor. The blonde said that she had already explored the situation. The girl said that initially she should deprive the lady of investors, instead of talking about trifles, because she promised to take care of Ariel. She said that Fanta was too short-sighted, because to plunge a person into the abyss of despair, it is necessary to give him the taste of victory and then take it away. The man said that the girl should follow him because he had a way to carry out a good plan. Finally, the workday ended, and Ariel dismissed the last client. The day was a success, and the store is officially open. A week had already passed since they officially opened, and during opening hours the girl served customers. And at sunset she worked in perfumery, managing the store's affairs. The lady felt inside her that business was not so easy. But the most pleasant thing for the girl was to watch her money accumulate. The lady concluded that Cedric would be very happy with such a profit. But first, she announced that she would go buy ingredients. While walking through the city, Ariel kept saying that they would need lilacs, roses, and cedars. She meant that they would buy them quickly and return immediately. When she saw the way the city people looked at her, these people disappeared instantly, and Ariel realized that they were avoiding her. Suddenly, Raphael ran to the lady and asked if the girl had noticed the strange behavior of the people. The boy told what happened at the opening of his salon. 2 suspicious people in raincoats appeared on the florist's street, and they offered to promise not to sell the ingredients at Ariel's perfumery. For this, they will receive 20 million bisses every day. Ariel immediately realized that this was Magnus's and Killen's doing. This was logical, because without ingredients, there would be no perfume and customers would go to the Magnus store. The girl assumed they would create obstacles, but she didn't think it would be so naive. The boy said that he personally refused because he was on the mistress's side. But suddenly, Ariel announced that she was not going to endure this meekly and that she would take appropriate measures. At the table, the girl said that last night she was thinking of a way out and that she has 2 solutions. The first is to pay a large sum and attract merchants, and the second, to personally grow the ingredients in her garden. But since they do not have adequate funds, the option is obvious. Suddenly, the maid asked if it was time to intervene. Although he seems insignificant, he still has royal blood in him, and she could be imprisoned for insulting the royal family. The girl was surprised to see Cedric standing right in front of her. To this, the gentleman said that he was the one who contacted him, because it seemed to him that the lady was in a rather difficult situation, and he thought that His Highness could help. Ariel realized that the boy was right, because if Cedric intervened, there would be no need to even worry about the matter. He is the girl's investor, reason enough to ask him to intervene. But suddenly, the pale-faced woman declared that she wanted to solve this problem by herself, and in no other way. And like a child, Ariel asked the Duke to give her at least a clue on what to do. To this, he asked if the girl knew Givert, because she is the head of a large trade guild, and furthermore, she is responsible for the circulation of various goods. Her trade guild has connections with many established families and plays a very important role in the Bel Air Empire's economy. And besides, China is always looking for an opportunity to close a deal. The man heard that they were currently settled on the border of Bel Air. Cedric suggested that the lady make a deal with the woman. They arrived at the place and apparently saw a merchant's guild. They simply left the capital as if they were in another country. A blue-haired man greeted the girls, shook their hands, and asked what they were here for. Ariel introduced herself, stating that she had arrived to meet Mrs. Yena, to which she was surprised by the guests and demanded to follow him. Ariel suddenly realized that Cedric was right, and here is everything a girl is looking for. And everything is fresh. The lady concluded that, no matter what, she must close this deal. Yena asked where her guests came from. The girl said she came from the Winston family, to which she replied that she wouldn't chat much with her, and that she would immediately tell her she wasn't going to make a deal with her. She apologized and said that before visiting her, she should have studied the trade guild etiquette. The blonde laughed at the fact that Lady Ariel had actually done this. She promised to tell the lady about the trade guild etiquette, because there is nothing complicated here. Charlotte said that the most important thing for the trade guild is goods, and Lady Jaina only speaks with those who present her with things she likes. She brought with her a golden vase decorated with jewels. Ariel realized that she likes expensive things, and in fact she would like to gift her perfume, but she knows absolutely nothing about it. The girl asked if there was any information about what would be best to gift her. To this, Charlotte announced that she had heard that lately the Escrons had surpassed them. The Emquirons are birds with very bad tempers, and the Escrons love to hunt. That's why they often go to the forest and each time cause trouble for travelers. These birds have a highly developed sense of smell, and when one tries to catch them, The Eskrons catch the scent of a person and fly away. Charlotte offered to go there personally and show off hunting wild birds. But suddenly, she abruptly changed her mind, saying she didn't have enough time. But then, she suggested her close friend for this role. Ariel choked on her tea when she found out that this friend was Cedric. But suddenly, the blonde asked the girl why she was so surprised if she actually didn't like him. Cedric, although the question wasn't whether she liked him, but the fact that, according to the plot of the original, he is such a terrifying person that no one dares to say his name. However, meeting him in person, she realized how different he was from the novel. Despite the first impression, he turned out to be extremely sensitive and polite. Therefore, her feelings for Cedric began to appear, which was quite frightening. Ariel hurried to explain that she and Cedric have a relationship as investor and business owner, and that it is unlikely that she would contact him for personal reasons. The lady had a feeling that she had drifted far from the original goal, because recently, she wanted to end their relationship once and for all. The girl wondered what she would have to do when the main character appeared. The lady really thought that although she and the Duke had become close, he was so busy that it was unlikely he would come to her aid. But it turned out that this was not the case. Cedric bluntly stated that helping the girl is his duty as an investor, so business cannot be more important. Ariel thought that Cedric was also a person and must need a change of scenery, which was mediated by the desire to help. The man offered to help the lady onto the horse, seating her in front of him. Holding her carefully by the hands, the Duke thought, trying to convince himself, repeating that he had a business relationship with Ariel, and his goal with her was only a commercial partnership. However, he sincerely did not understand why she felt so drawn to him. Why did she want to spend more and more time together? Cedric was happy to have the opportunity to show the area near the estate under the duchy's control. He offered to take the girl off the horse and look around because the Eskrons were appearing in the area where they were located. Walking through the thicket of the forest, the man suddenly asked the lady to freeze because he heard strange sounds that might accompany the attack. The man said that one must be especially careful because Eskrons love shiny things and beautiful ones, while the bird in turn pierced the girls with its gaze. Suddenly, a huge bird with a wild screech jumped onto Cedric in the hope of attacking him and stealing from him. The man reacted quickly and, taking the blow himself, ordered the lady to hide behind him. Deciding that it was necessary to catch the creature, he fired a special weapon and wrapped the bird in a net. But suddenly it began to emit whining sounds and cry, trying to cover its face with its wings. It seems the bird had a broken leg, but the girl tried to approach it. But Cedric did not allow it, asking her not to fall for these cunning tricks. But suddenly, a satisfied face appeared on the face of this crying bird's dog, towards which, flying out, it flew with a loud cry. This bird clung to the servants' heads, literally ripping their hair out in tufts. Cedric looked away from the lady and asked if she was all right, but she turned out to be completely unconcerned. Perhaps surprised by such actions, the hunters concluded that the rumors really do not lie, and that this bird has a character, and a very vile character. The maid offered to hide, but this is pointless, because flies will find the boys by smell. The feathers of this terrible beast stank and resembled the smell of urine, which made everyone grimace. But Ariel was very pleased with the smell, because if she remembers correctly, the origin of this smell is musk. If it dries sufficiently and is mixed with alcohol, it becomes an excellent base note, which imparts tenderness and nobility to all components. The girl realized that, thanks to this, it would be a great gift for Jaina. The servants, and not only them, sincerely did not understand how one could make a good perfume from these stinking feathers. But convinced that the owner had a plan, they collected the feathers anyway. The girl herself understood that the request to collect this stench sounded very strange, but the man said that he had reasons why he needed this ingredient. Upon arriving at her perfume room, the lady finally finished the perfume she needed. She called it the musky aroma of Eskran. Ariel, happy to have finally finished, invited the maid to try it on herself. But Rena was extremely scared and even a little unpleasant that these perfumes were made from those feathers, and their smell was reminiscent of urine. The girl decided that she should trust the mistress, and upon opening the bottle, smelled a soft aroma. And sweet. At the same time, this smell enveloped her with warmth and pleasant sensations, being captivated by this wonderful perfume. Rena mistakenly hugged the gentleman, thinking it was her lover. The effect of musk turned out to be much stronger than Ariel expected. She decided that it would be necessary to adjust the dosage to avoid it. The maid was delighted and said that it would take enormous talent to change the smell of urine so completely. This time, the perfume turned out to be special. She announced it as a perfume that would tame the Skyrnovs. Jaina said that she really hoped this wasn't a waste of time, to which Ariel asked her to believe her, because she would definitely be pleased. Ariel mixed special ingredients that strongly resembled the smell of the deep forest where the Scarons live. The perfumer applied the liquid to the woman's brush so that she could savor its essence. Jaina called it the very essence of nature, because the pungent smell dissipates, leaving a heavy and wild scent. Ariel said that this wild smell would simply help the merchants, and she would like the lady to check it for herself. Having said that the lady was too self-confident, she offered to go out on the road. Even Rena noticed that something strange was happening in the forest, because they literally saw the Scarons under the bushes, who were watching them with a predatory gaze. The creatures literally surrounded them, to which the frightened maid asked if it should be so. Ariel said that the forest hunter is the pungent aroma of the forest ruler. Thanks to this smell, the Scarons will take the woman with a rival. It was like a welcome ceremony to a new friend, to which Jaina announced that she would try to trust these spirits. But suddenly, judging by its constitution, the leader of these birds flew over. The lady reached out her hand to Scaron, trying to see if he would be submissive. But after sniffing the air, the huge flying animal began to attack and scream, adopting a fighting stance and spreading its wings upwards. The girl began to panic, as it seemed that her seemingly brilliant perfume was not working at all, to which the woman stated that she had no other choice and pulled out a small dagger. But suddenly, this creature fell on its back, asking to stroke its belly and stroke its feathers. Jaina began to stroke and scratch its belly, to which she heard soft sounds. Everyone really started to think that the girl had made a mistake, but it turned out that she really is the same brilliant perfumer as they say of her. And this is not just rumors, but a personal truth. Ariel feared a side effect due to the strong smell of musk, but fortunately everything turned out well, because the smell of musk also stimulates arousal. Scaron quickly confused Jaina with his lover, and not an enemy, nor even a friend. The woman approaching Ariel said that she didn't know that her headache would become so submissive, and that now it was no longer necessary to marry the Scarons. Jaina said that she loves the aroma because it is very charming, and also said that she really hopes for cooperation. She decided that she should send a return gift for the perfume and sent Ariel many ingredients. Even among the fresh basics, also many new and unique products. In one of the boxes, the girl noted a magical boosting elixir. This elixir was written in Ariel's notebook, and it said that it enhances the effect of the perfume. With its help, the lady manufactured several goods at once. But suddenly, once again, after having tried her perfume on Rena, the girl realized that something was wrong. But all the bottles were the same, and she had no idea which was which. Ariel realized that this was a big failure, because people experiencing this smell started bothering each other, feeling very excited. The perfumer did not know what to do, because horror was spreading around her. Suddenly, the Duke appeared on the estate and asked what was going on here. But at the moment the maid wanted to try another one, all the bottles fell and broke right onto Cedric's pants, enveloping him in an overly sweet aroma. The girl understood that if a side effect affected Cedric, she simply would not survive. Ariel wanted to ask if her investor was all right, when suddenly, Rena began to kiss her mistress's hands, declaring that she would forever serve only her and no one else. And the gentleman completely started shouting that Mrs. Winston could entrust him with anything, and that he would do everything perfectly right now. The Duke reported that Ariel, by adding a boosting elixir, surprised him. To this, the girl stated that she wanted to try to diversify the perfume. It was very surprising that the perfume had no effect on the man. He said that nothing affects him except the spirits of Onyxia. The Duke said that he had come to ask about a deal with the trade guild, and in the end, he came across such an amusing sight. But suddenly, he declared that real magic perfumes would be valuable for business, because their advantages were obvious. The girl suggested changing the situation and discussing these details. Everyone started advertising their perfume as magical, which could even cure diseases and wounds. Buyers asked how much these magic perfumes cost, because it was interesting to know their effect, that they couldn't sleep a wink to test them as soon as possible. But suddenly Ariel smiled and apologized, saying that those perfumes were not for sale at all. Everyone rebelled, because their lovers would literally kill them if they returned without perfume. And Ariel herself could not explain why they were not for sale. Suddenly, 3 girls burst into the perfumery and asked if it was Lady Winston. The perfumer asked the children to leave because the magic perfumes are not for sale. But suddenly they shouted, declaring that they had not come to buy them, but to place an order. They began to explain that one of them had very severe insomnia, and that no matter how hard they tried, nothing helped. When asked how this happened, the girls replied that the boys from the academy very often tease Sasha, and everything turned into a trauma, so she cannot sleep. The poor girl suddenly lost consciousness from lack of sleep, but the girls managed to successfully catch her, saying that they would definitely help her. The girls, literally with tears in their eyes, asked the great perfumer for help. After thinking for a couple of seconds, Ariel decided that it would be difficult to refuse them, and she accepted with one condition. The girls smiled playfully and stated that for Sasha's sake, they should make sacrifices. The children started saying that no sacrifice would scare them, because the girl with insomnia was their only friend. In fact, the girls had to try this perfume together since it is a new product. This perfume brings warm memories. The lady modified the recipe found in Ariel's aroma diary and used sweet aromas, and warm ones like cocoa and tonka. Ariel bringing freshness and depth to the aroma with yuzu and grapefruit oils. Warm memories have the effect that Sasha needs most now. Ariel sprayed a perfume on her wrist that reminded her of the mousse cake the girls ate yesterday. Sasha realized that she had memories of them eating desserts together. The girl stated that this perfume gives a feeling of security due to its warm scent, sweet and cozy. After these words, the children immediately started falling asleep, because their souls became warmer and more comfortable. These perfumes are capable of awakening memory. Thanks to it, the soul calms down. In fact, the original perfume puts people into eternal sleep, but Ariel slightly changed the recipe. But suddenly, the perfumer was afraid that this very eternal sleep would turn into a side effect. Upon waking up, Sasha reported that for the first time in a long time, she slept very peacefully. The girl asked how much this perfume cost, because thanks to its effect she would like to buy it. But the girl only smiled gently and said that it was a gift, because the lady could take it if she liked it. But suddenly, Sasha decided that she would become Ariel's minion and informed her about it. As a result, all the girls after Sasha wanted to take part in this. But suddenly, the girl remembered that these girls did a lot of harm, being minions of the original version of Ariel. But the children asked not to refuse their mistress, because they would do whatever she ordered them to do. Rena and the gentleman were going to buy the necessary ingredients for the perfume, when suddenly the maid saw a rat. After defeating the unfortunate animal, she hurried to the desired destination. The hooded man, after following them first, headed towards the pale-faced one. Mr. Keene was sitting on the terrace drinking tea and reading something. The man said that the rumors that Ariel makes magic perfumes turned out to be true. He also said that Winston's influence is growing rapidly. Then the gentleman said that although he didn't want to do this, he would have to take the lady's magic perfume away. He assigned the guy another task, or rather, to break into the store and steal the recipe diary. Ariel talked about how Mrs. Jaina could help with a deal in the west of the country. But so far this is only in the plans, but she will try very hard. Furthermore, the girls said that they were preparing a party in honor of her opening. Cedric was extremely surprised that the lady invited him to participate in this. Upon learning that Ariel would be there, the Duke agreed and said that he had not properly congratulated her on the opening. Cedric said he would wait for the lady to contact him. The lady thanked Rena for organizing the table because it looked very beautiful. Suddenly, a blonde approached the girl and congratulated Ariel on her discovery. Everyone who attended her soiree started giving flowers to the girl, congratulating her on the opening of her perfumery. To this, Ariel stated that she was very grateful that they still came. Even the investor himself came with a bouquet of pink flowers, saying that, after all, the store was beautiful. After handing the flowers to Ariel, Cedric hurried to remove the petal from her pink hair. The girl even gave some girls a small perfume, saying that it would help them find true love. They reported that they would use them on the most important days for them. A guy sat opposite the Duke and told him that it was a great honor for him to see him, to which Cedric was as disrespectful as possible, without even looking in his direction. Seeing where the man was looking, he hurried to ask what he had to do with this lady. To this, he calmly replied that he was her investor. Then Raphael introduced himself, saying that he owned a flower shop. Then he sighed languidly and wished her prosperity. But suddenly, Ariel herself approached the boys and asked what they were so busy with. She said that Luna and the children had prepared a simple game and invited them to participate. To this, Cedric said that he thought it was time to leave. The Duke was already very late, so he said he had a good time and left the festivities. The blonde suddenly shared that she was very surprised that His Highness was always busy and still attended the event. To this, the girl said that he was an investor and should have come, but the lady continued that the investor would not look at her with that gaze. She was surprised that Ariel really didn't notice anything. The girl said that his gaze was intense, that she was even worried that he would burn her dress. One of the children also said that he thought Cedric liked the girl, because Luna's premonition was not wrong. To this, Ariel tried to explain to him that the Duke felt nothing for her, just as she felt nothing for him. The girl perfectly understood that Cedric was a true main character. It was simply impossible for him to love her. The man watched the celebration from a corner and said quietly that he had finally found Ariel Winston. Cedric, strangely enough, just had to blow on the lady and felt a little happier. The advisor immediately warned the Duke that the fifth prince had sent a spy to Lady Winston's shop. He immediately turned around, but the guy tried to stop the man because lately he hadn't been feeling well. He offered to send another gentleman, to which the man replied that one would be enough. The spy, after entering the perfumery, concluded that he only needed to steal the recipes and receive a good sum. He started looking for the diary in the drawers, when suddenly Cedric appeared menacingly above him. With slight movements of his hands, he made him fall to his knees and hit his head against the floor. After making sure the lady was safe, he ordered the spy to pack his bags and go home. He was astonished because the Duke had truly overestimated his strength. But in an instant, an ally of that guy appeared in front of him, with a sword in his hands. Drawing his dagger, the investor lunged into battle, but the opponent successfully covered his blow with his weapon, moving the thick blade away from himself. The gentleman managed to ignore him and cut Cedric's clothes, to which he asked who had sent him with them. But he, after simply saying that he would turn the Duke into a monster again, threw the bottle, spraying an unusual odor. The man covered his nose, upon realizing it was a demonic smell. Having insulted the man with a monster, he moved a little further. The aroma of Onyxia was a temporary remedy that turned Cedric into an ordinary person. In common, the stranger, saying that the boy would soon find out everything, said goodbye. The man fell to the floor, losing consciousness, realizing he couldn't control himself. Ariel woke up in her warm and cozy cradle. She touched the rose petals they gave her yesterday and realized they were still fresh. But suddenly, upon hearing strange sounds, the girl found Rena noisy. She said it was dangerous here and that Ariel shouldn't approach the Duke, who was lying on the floor. But the lady approached him and started asking if everything was all right. She asked him what he was doing here, to which he only fell asleep on her shoulder. The man said that the lady's aroma truly brings tranquility. A couple of hours later, the Duke apologized for the inconvenience. The girl suddenly asked who Cedric had fought with, because he looked disheveled. To this, to avoid answering, he said it was time to leave. The next client was a pale-haired girl in a pink suit. She asked if Duke Evans had just left this shop. Suddenly, a client asked me to create a perfume that could make someone fall in love. In the original, Ariel tried to create such a perfume, but none of her attempts succeeded. The lady asked if there was any reason why the girl was confident she could create such a perfume. To this, the stranger replied that she heard Lady Luna and Lady Aileen whispering. Ariel hurried to explain that those words were just empty words for children. To this, she stated that she knew Ariel and Cedric had become closer than in the past. The blonde handed a box to the girl and asked her to look. There was a very rare plant on Mount Daphne. According to legend, the goddess Euphonal fell in love with a shepherd at first sight, and when he reciprocated her feelings, they planted this plant and used it to smoke candles. Ariel did not know the legend, but she knew the effect of the perfume very well. It has such a charming smell that there is even a legend that it captivates people. The lady tried with all her might to get it, but failed. Then, the client asked who Ariel liked so much that she was willing to do such a thing. She said that Ariel would be surprised to see who he wants to fall in love with. This man was the son of the Baron, Kenan Arson. The girl immediately concluded that he was still handsome. Ariel reported that she understood Lady Cleo. Then, the blonde said that they have been friends for 10 years, but she wants to confess to him, because she heard that the effect lasts a maximum of 1 week, but she doesn't mind if she can win his heart. She suddenly wondered if there was any meaning in love received through the power of magic. Ariel accepted the girl's conditions, but furthermore, the perfumer warned that this was the first time she had seen this plant, so there was a high probability of failure. Magnus shouted at his ally because all his plans had failed once again. They even bribed the flower shop owners, but Ariel made a deal with the head of a large trade guild. To this, the man simply snorted, saying that they wouldn't have to go to all these extremes if the lady knew how to create perfume. But suddenly, smiling, the blonde said that Font had nothing to worry about, because he had an excellent plan. He explained that St. Catherine's party was approaching. Cayenne confidently stated that he could definitely catch Ariel. Ariel got to work creating that loving perfume. She succeeded quite successfully, because a feeling appeared that it could awaken and excite the heart. Rena invited the lady to try a little of the cake while inhaling the aroma. But suddenly, placing the perfume on the table, she perceived a pleasant smell. The girl asked if she liked this aroma, to which she asked where it came from. She said this is a real masterpiece, and that Ariel will be able to get rich instantly. Ariel replied that these ingredients are too rare and impossible to buy. As a result, it will not be possible to create many similar perfumes. But for a moment, the maid started saying that today the lady was unusually beautiful. The long-awaited ball has begun. It was organized in honor of the patroness of all lovers, St. Catherine. But Ariel suddenly started to feel that she shouldn't have come here. She felt uncomfortable, especially when Charlotte noticed her and called her. Ariel thanked the lady for the invitation, to which she stated that she was always happy to see her visit. Today, Charlotte also noticed that Ariel is too beautiful. She really looked rested and beautiful, as if she had slept well and gained a lot of strength. Despite having worked hard, the blonde asked if the lady had any new perfume, to which she replied that apparently the scent had been absorbed by the skin while mixing the ingredients. The aristocrat noticed that it was a wonderful and warm smell. Ariel seemed to bewitch the people behind her, who kept saying nice things. A girl even asked if this perfume was for sale, to which Ariel replied that it was not for sale. And another even noted that the effect of the smell is that the heart starts beating faster. But suddenly, to avoid embarrassment, the girl decided to leave the ball. She concluded that today's reaction to her is different from the previous one. Suddenly, the same client met her and asked about the aroma she wanted. To this, Ariel took out a perfume bottle from the box. This love armor came in a heart-shaped package with a black bow at the end. After evaluating them, the lady said they were very cute. This aroma is like fresh flowers and also sweet, like honey. She immediately realized that the aroma truly enchants her and envelops her with love. However, there is a condition for the effect to manifest. The couple must have been interested for a long time. To this, Cleo stated that there was such a possibility. The lady wished her good luck and left, to which she shouted that she would never forget this help. Cleo gathered her courage and decided to approach, spraying the elixir on herself. But suddenly, her partner found her, approaching from behind. He said he had been looking for the girl everywhere. At the ball, the couple danced together, and it seems the plan succeeded successfully. Ariel, standing on the sidelines, was happy, as if it were herself. Despite being very tired, the girl had a good experience. But suddenly, someone's rude voice was heard. Cedric approached the lady and had been looking for her all night. He said that Ariel's scent had changed a lot. The man said that this smell was unfamiliar to him, and if Charlotte hadn't said so, he would have decided that Ariel had already left. To this, the lady was surprised that he was checking by the scent whether she was there or not. She immediately introduced him in the form of a dog and realized that he had a dog's nose. Cedric asked if the lady's mood had changed. After all, they say that if a person changes their perfume, then their condition has changed. To this, the lady said that she simply developed a new fragrance in her name. The Duke said he was here at Charlotte's request, or rather, it was a deal. His presence had an additional effect. Of course, the Duke's participation will take the evening ball to a new level. Cedric extended his hand, inviting the lady to dance. To this, Ariel said she had hardly slept. She said it wasn't that important. After all, the important thing was whether the man's symptoms were becoming more frequent. Lately, he started drinking more. And given his strange condition, Cedric's madness intensifies according to the original. From these thoughts, the girl felt sorry for him. The man suddenly asked why Ariel was looking at him like that. Ariel said she thought he needed to treat His Highness better. Since Cedric is the main character, Ariel will try to make an effort. For others, perfume is a matter of personal preference, but for the Duke it is a life necessity. Cedric smiled and said that then he thought Ariel was interested in him. He again tried to invite the lady to dance, taking her hand. Ariel only agreed to one dance. The perfumer noticed that today the men are in an unusually good mood. The Duke said that today was a special day for him. Cedric smiled when Ariel noticed his strange look. She thought that perhaps this behavior was due to the perfume, but it was not difficult to instantly refute this fact because it could not affect the man. Ariel didn't know how to dance at all because she stomped all over the Duke's feet. The man said there was no need to worry about this. He said let's concentrate on it. They started dancing again, looking at each other with a loving gaze. But suddenly Ariel pushed the man away from her, saying it was too hot. She didn't understand why her heart was beating so fast. An advisor approached the Duke and told him that the Baron was waiting for him. Cedric turned to the girl and declared that it was time to leave. A little more and the atmosphere would have been strange, so Ariel also left. She tried to understand why the Duke suddenly started behaving this way. But suddenly, the prince himself appeared at the ball, and everyone started talking about it. But for some reason, His Highness's gaze remained fixed on the perfumer. Ariel bowed in greeting and said she didn't expect to see him here. Why did he say he was amazed by her talent? Because for business reasons, he tied her to his ex. To this, she only laughed, saying that it seemed to her that His Highness was afraid of her. He said that copying her perfume was not enough for them. They also bribed the flower sellers. Everyone in the hall, upon hearing this, started whispering and discussing. Then the prince demanded proof that she had done it, because Ariel was clearly delirious. The girl became insolent and said that if he wants to compete, he should do it properly. The perfumer averted her gaze, asking to leave, because apparently the prince had nothing else to say. But suddenly, he and Magnus offered to measure their strength against the main perfumer of the shop. Ariel did not want to try so hard, but they started provoking her. The couple set the condition that if they lost, they would close the perfumery. But if she wins, Ariel will have to become his perfumer. Ariel asked what kind of competition they would choose, to which Fanta replied that, of course, perfume creation. But with one condition, the ladies must create a perfume that suits her investor. Ariel tried to analyze this order and realized that her investor was not there, and that it would be difficult. But suddenly, literally from the crowd, he appeared, looking at the girl quite sure of his victory. All the people crowded around the participants, and some didn't even understand what was happening. Everyone understood that Winston had a small but very well-known shop. They have prepared the same amount of ingredients. The side with more votes will win. Ariel wondered what aroma would be perfect for Cedric. Due to the original, he seemed to her a terrible tyrant, but she sincerely considers him a kind person. And sometimes, she doesn't understand at all what he is thinking. The girl made a clear decision that she needed to win the competition. A girl started to worry because Ariel's rivals had come here fully prepared, and Lady Ariel was at a disadvantage. But the Duke replied that, nevertheless, he trusted Lady Winston's skills. But suddenly, Ariel noticed a sticker on Fanta's perfume and realized that they had prepared it in advance. She looked at her perfume, wondering if they could have mixed something strange into it. After all, given all their childish actions, she cannot allow them. The girl concluded that now is a great opportunity to teach them a lesson. Ariel raised her hand to indicate that she was finished. When they released her to check the perfume first, she approached her investor. She placed the perfume in his hands and asked him to spray it. This perfume is called Duke in a Moonlit Night. Ariel used black orchid to create a heavy and unsettling aroma. Over time, a subtle, warm, and sweet aroma of base notes will remain on the skin. This aroma will give you a different charm. Everyone inhaled her perfume, realizing that the aroma was dark, but at the same time warm. Noble and charming, just like the Duke. Ariel also said that this aroma can be used by anyone, regardless of gender. Fanta suddenly said that it would soon be hot days, and that it would not be too stifling to use that perfume. And especially for the arrival of summer, she prepared a vigorous grapefruit aroma. It is called Prince of the Imperial Palace, because everyone can feel the natural freshness of lemon, as well as the sweetness of grapefruit. Everyone concluded that the smell was very fresh and natural, so refreshing that you started to feel invigorated. Someone even said that it is perfect for summer because it is a citrus. To this, Fanta smiled and shouted that Ariel had recently said that it was cheap and banal. She also started advertising her shop, saying that they could buy these perfumes at a low price. Duke of the Moonlit Night is more elegant and exciting, but the grapefruit aroma is more suitable for everyday use. People started comparing their aromas trying to choose the best one. In this case, the man suggested splitting into two sides to know how many votes there were for the desired perfumes. He approached the people and asked them to do this, that is, to switch sides to Ariel. Or to Font, but suddenly the blonde started sneezing, interrupting his monologue. He said he forgot to mention that he was allergic to grapefruit. Fonta started screaming, because only now his investor had told him this, to which the man realized that he was about to vomit. The investor Fonta headed to the bathroom feeling sick due to an allergy. People started arguing that the lady didn't even know about the boy's allergy. Some even changed their minds about the girl's perfume, and Fonta promised herself that she would never trust her investor again. The girl turned to the lady and shouted that she would take revenge on her, and they would see who was the best perfumer in the place. At that moment, Ariel didn't even think that she would win this competition so stupidly. But the lady was distracted from these thoughts by potential clients asking when the perfume would go on sale. Ariel stated that the soonest they could buy the perfume is next week, and that she would also give a sample especially to everyone present today. Cedric, approaching the perfumer, thanked her for creating the perfume especially for him. But suddenly, the Duke began to think about how Lady Winston sees him as a person. The investor congratulated the lady on her victory and smiled, sweetly trying to support Ariel. A week later, the girl was still selling her products, learning and developing. Rena said that after the girl attended the ball, there was a noticeable increase in the number of men among her clients. To which Ariel said that in the future, it would be better to create more neutral scents. And also the perfume model is important. The boys saw that their rivals had kept their promise and closed their shop. The maid gave her a newspaper where it was written that the perfume sorceress had improvised a perfume competition at the evening ball in honor of St. Catherine's Day, where she had created the aroma of Duke Cedric and also of his ex. It was also said that through this competition, the truth about the fifth prince's allergy to grapefruit was revealed. Ariel recounted that they irritated her with their presence, but for some reason, besides relief, she also felt sadness. But suddenly, reading the newspaper, Ariel distracted people and started recognizing her because she makes a magic perfume. They started shouting that Mrs. Winston should visit her shop at today's festival. The girls were bombarded with flyers and newspapers with invitations, to which she didn't even understand what had just happened. Today the streets are full of people because it is this very day. Rena said that today is the early summer festival. Ariel thought about it, trying to recall how this holiday was celebrated in the original story. In the original, in honor of the beginning of summer, a grand festival was held in the streets. At the same time, this was the day when the main character exercised tyranny for the first time. But Ariel assured herself that there were still 3 years left until this event. Rena asked if Ariel was interested, but the perfumer realized that Rena was just at the age when festivals were interesting, to which she asked the maid to go. Ariel announced that there would probably not be many visits today, so she would take care of the matter herself. But the maid started persuading Ariel to accompany them, because there is a famous tarot cafe there. And you can go there. Rena literally started crying upon realizing that she would have to spend time without the lady. The party was very nice. There were many children and parents there, trying to make them happy. The maid also decided to behave like a child and asked to buy a ball for her. They went to the same cafe where Rena's famous fortune teller sat, but suddenly they were abruptly informed that they were already closed. To this, Ariel tried to say that perhaps she would pay more. In an instant, the fortune teller saw Lady Winston standing in front of her, saying that she couldn't even imagine how much she liked the perfume she bought at that moment, and that, as a special exception, she would serve it to her for free. Rena went first, asking to know if she had luck in love, for which the girl made a plan. She said that her love is much closer than she thinks. She showed a lover's card, as well as a traveler card embarking on an adventure. Ariel quickly concluded that the maid was behaving as expected at her age. The girl turned to the lady and offered to tell her fortune. The girl started convincing the lady that her predictions were very accurate, because even everything that happened in childhood matched. The perfumer was topped by the fact that the fortune teller said she would not accept money, and that it was her sincerest wish. But suddenly a death card fell, to which the fortune teller asked to draw another one. The 3 cards meant hell and painful death. Ariel smiled, nervously realizing that all the cards meant death. Although they don't know each other yet, their fate is already destined for death. The girl said it wasn't very encouraging, but it couldn't be said that he was already dead. Even if her love is alive, he is barely clinging to life. The lady asked to predict Ariel's fortune for today. Today, in a crowded place, she should go where there is more red color, and there she can meet a noble person. Moreover, this may be her predicted destiny. This person has a powerful presence, and they accidentally collide with each other. The gentleman also wanted to reassure the lady, telling her that the medicine does not stop, and that her future lover will recover quickly. Irina even said that Winston already has a lot to worry about, and there is no need to meet that person and complicate her life. At the festival, the boys met Raphael. He approached Lady Ariel and greeted her, but suddenly noticed that he was dressed in red. In a crowded place, she asked him if he was sick with something. The girl concluded that he was too young and healthy for her lover. The boy suddenly said that she was beautiful at the last ball and that he really liked that perfume. The girl said that Raphael was exaggerating, to which the boy asked if the lady intended to stay. She could take care of her security. To this, Ariel said that she already had a guard, but the girl offered to accompany her, not as security. Raphael said he would give them an excellent tour, because he knows every corner of this street. The boys wanted to play, or rather, hit the balls with a dart to win a prize. Ariel played this game perfectly, because she was very precise. It was the gentleman's turn, to which Ariel said he couldn't beat her record. He took the darts under each finger and adopted a fighting stance. He won instantly, breaking absolutely every ball. The gentleman said that he simply practiced a lot and that he hadn't been taught any of this. Ariel started praising Aaron, to which Raphael got angry and jealous. Raphael tried to get attention by saying that around the corner, they were selling delicious cheese chicken skewers, and he also invited her to take a look. Rena also loved chicken skewers, so Ariel considered it good luck. But suddenly, the girl didn't see Rena next to her. The girl was in the forest trying to get back her ball, which was entangled in a tree. But suddenly, someone handed her a thread, which horrified her. In front of her was a hooded man, with bags under his eyes, and a dead look. Meanwhile, the boys decided to split up and search, because she couldn't have gone far. Ariel thanked everyone and asked to meet at this place in an hour. The girls started shouting for Rin and looking for her throughout the festival. But suddenly, her gaze fell upon the blonde man who was eating noodles. She wanted to ask him why he was dressed so ridiculously, to which he covered her mouth with his hand. He took her to a corner, carefully hugging her. But Ariel didn't lag behind either, so she bit the prince's hand. She shouted that his highness should be in the castle, and then explained that because of him, her mother forbade her from leaving the palace, and that he was here in secret. In any case, she asked him to pretend she hadn't seen him there. The girl said this was a waste of time and they forced her to leave, but he didn't let her go. The girl turned to him and asked what else he needed, but the prince asked her if she had come to the holidays alone. The man said that he was not used to the commoner town and that he needed a guide, to which Ariel said that she had a lot of money and could hire anyone. The prince grabbed the lady's hand and told her that this was not the point. The man said he had no one to have fun with. Fonta said she didn't need that investor and broke the contract. In the newspapers, everyone mocks him, and he is completely alone. Ariel said she was looking for someone and that if he could help, they could have fun together. The girl described Rena completely, to which he asked if they were talking about the servants. The prince announced that his extraordinary memory was worth mentioning, and saw how not long ago she was walking towards the forest. The lady found a bracelet on the floor that belonged to Rena. She began to think that something serious might happen, to which the man stated that there was a magic tower nearby, and that no one could cause trouble recklessly. But suddenly, Ariel felt a familiar aroma. It was the perfume that Rena usually wears. The girl started running to one side, trying to find her maid. But suddenly she stumbled. The prince caught her and grabbed the girl by the waist. Ariel looked at him confused. The man abruptly dropped the girl, saying she was too heavy. Ariel was very angry with him. She said that the prince had already left and thought she could handle the search alone. Still, he followed her saying he wanted to help. The perfumer trusted her sense of smell and tried to find Rena. And so the girl was left alone in the forest, watching the lady. She ran to the lady with tears in her eyes. She asked if she was injured anywhere. The girl said she was completely fine because the Duke saved her. Cedric appeared from under the bushes and extended his hand to Milady. He said that the child was safe and sound, and that Ariel had no reason to worry. Seeing traces of blood, the man asked if someone was injured. The girl thanked the Duke, because she was very worried that something had happened to Rena. To this, the man merely smiled, and said he deserved no gratitude. The blonde tried to beg for praise for himself, when suddenly Cedric asked him what he was doing here. He replied that Lady Ariel had tearfully begged him and that he was only helping her. The man smiled and declared that now they were friends. But Cedric, bitter towards the blonde, said that he couldn't let his crimes go unpunished, and he started rolling up his sleeves. To this, he only said that the Duke could attack because he was challenging him. Ariel stopped their fight, saying that Rena was very scared and they could fight later. The Duke apologized for his behavior and said he would ask Ern to escort them home. The perfumer asked the girl to return to the shop and rest well, because today was a day off anyway. And Ariel, the Duke, invited her to a private conversation. They came to dinner, and the perfumer asked what was so serious that Cedric wanted to talk about. The man asked if the girl was going on a business trip. The man said he would like her to accompany him somewhere. He explained a little more clearly and offered to accompany him to keep him company. They must travel to the Divine City, located on the border of the Bel Air Empire. But to get there, it will take half a month, without stopping, and they will have to ride a horse. Ariel asked him to excuse her, asking if there was any reason why she should accompany the man on such a long journey. Because she could stock up on Onyxia perfume for her trip. The man said that the smell alone was no longer enough, to which the lady was surprised if its effect had weakened. Cedric said that the effect of the aroma increases only when the girl is by his side. To this, he said that this fragrance has no conditions in the form of someone's mandatory presence. But the Duke spoke from experience, because the difference in effect between when a girl is near and when she is not is simply amazing. The girl said she couldn't fulfill this request because she couldn't leave the shop for a long time. Furthermore, the lady stated that Cedric was delirious, as she provided him with the fragrance. He mistakenly thought that she was the key to solving the problem, and this is a somewhat distorted association. In this case, the man ordered to forget the previous request and come to the ball next month as his companion. Ariel began to wonder what the reason for such a request was. The Duke explained that with his close social circle, it would not be so easy to find company. The girl thought this was nonsense, because someone like Cedric would be very popular. And if he announced in the square that he was looking for a partner, a whole crowd of people would rush in. The perfumer thought that if she appeared at the ball as his companion, scandals would no longer be avoidable. But on the other hand, this will have a very good effect on the perfume industry, because the latest novelty was a resounding success. After briefly thinking, Ariel accepted the Duke's invitation. The lady returned to the shop and was greeted by Rena and Ern, telling them that they were just waiting for her. She asked if anything serious had happened. Ariel said that next time she would take better care of her, to which the maid only apologized. The girl remembered that she had seen terrible things, blood, Cedric, who was killing a crowd of gentlemen in front of her. At that moment, the man understood that not even Rena now had the smell of Onyxia. That could help him quench his thirst for blood. He was injured, but he forbade the girl from approaching him because it is very dangerous now. Cedric asked Rena to keep this a secret from Lady Winston, otherwise she could be in danger. Rena said it was okay and apologized for the inconvenience. The perfumer asked the girl to take a few days off. Cedric informed Guy that the Information Guild, which disappeared 16 years ago, has returned. They seem to be related to the Duke's madness. The man ordered Cedric to continue investigating. Guy said he is the best informant, so Cedric can entrust him with everything. The man understood that, if he was lucky, he might get rid of this madness once and for all. Ariel concluded that, since it is summer, it would be good to prepare a new product representing this time of year. It was very important that the product allowed us to feel the season. Rena immediately suggested a partnership with the sea. If you think about it, Ariel did not see a single marine-type aroma in the original diary. And apparently, it is difficult to obtain in this world. Suddenly, a guy entered the room and said that Countess Gilbeth had sent him. He gave her a gift that contained a rare herb. Jaina decided to donate it to the shop, taking this value from the guild head with whom they made a deal. And she also asked Ariel to use it wisely. Everyone who was there felt that aroma for the first time. The smell was fresh and invigorating, like the morning breeze, as if the salty sea breeze had touched the tip of the nose. We can say that this fragrance embodies the romance of youth. But suddenly, His Highness also came to the shop and said that he promised to spend time with her, and that he had to keep his promise. He even created a special itinerary for the date so that she would feel overwhelmed. The girl wanted to refuse because she has a lot of work, to which the man bowed, calling her a liar. The lady suggested a compromise, or rather, having fun creating perfumes. He said it didn't look fun. Aaron served the same herb to the prince and told him that he should grind it immediately. The thing is that little is known about the tray herb. It has never been used as a perfume component, so Ariel wanted to try different extraction methods. According to research, members of the royal family of a western state used this herb to save heat. But its refreshing marine aroma may have other properties, and furthermore it had an unusual blue color. The girl decided to try using the desired herb as the main note. When she tried to spray the perfume, she felt a fresh and invigorating fruit smell, the smell of sea breeze and fresh grass. And moreover, a barely perceptible smell of the sea, clean and invigorating, which leaves a soft trail behind it. The lady realized that the mysterious secret of the aroma of the tray herb is that it can tone. The perfume will sell very well if launched in summer, and no one, except Ariel, will be able to make it. Now all that remains is to think about the bottle and the name of the perfume. At that moment Fanta was filled with rage. The girl swore that she would get out of this hole and become more popular and successful than anyone. But suddenly, she was enveloped in violet blue smoke. Fanta fell abruptly, losing consciousness. A girl entered the room smiling slyly. Ariel handed out delicious treats for the girls. She announced that she had developed a new aroma and invited them to try it. Suddenly, a blonde appeared and said she had accidentally overheard their conversation. The girl asked to let her know when it goes on sale, because she wants to buy it first. But the lady said she couldn't decide the date yet, but that she would definitely help her test the product on her next visit. The blonde said she always likes to use her perfume, and that everyone in the hall uses it too. The children noticed that Mrs. Ariel was becoming more and more popular. Lately there is more talk about her, and there are many more guests like that lady. And the shop is gradually becoming busier. At this rate, I'll have to move to a bigger shop. The girl thought that the neighboring shop was empty due to renovation work to expand it. A man approached Ariel and handed her an envelope, telling her that Evans had asked him to deliver this decree. The envelope contained an invitation to the imperial ball. Ariel immediately remembered that Cedric asked to be her companion at the imperial ball, which would take place next month. The children started admiring, saying that this was the biggest celebration of the year, and that only a select circle of aristocrats who received an invitation could participate in it. Surprisingly, this is not even mentioned in the original, and seems to be a much more important event than she expected. The girls asked to go and tell us how fun it was there, because it would be very interesting for them. Out of nowhere, many men appeared who would be honored if Ariel went to the ball with them. The girl sighed and, asking for forgiveness, stated that she already had a partner. Ariel announced with such admiration that her companion was Duke Evans. Still, they said that if Cedric decided not to come, the lady could always contact them. The perfumer concluded that there has been a noticeable increase in business, but as they say, dreams must be big. The day of the imperial ball arrived, and Ariel started cooking with 6 hands. All the servants praised Ariel, saying that every day she was more beautiful, but she was sure that Count Winston had threatened them to treat her well. The father was surprised, and at the same time furious, because his daughter was invited to the imperial ball. He stated that to attract the imperial family, she must be perfect from head to toe. The maids started choosing a dress for her, but most of the outfits were outdated. The girl started choosing jewelry, choosing a necklace with a stone that resembled Cedric's eyes. In an instant, they knocked on the door and said that Duke Evans was already waiting for her. The Duke invited the lady to travel together in a carriage. Ariel suddenly realized that she could easily fall in love with the investor, given that his appearance matched that of the main character. The pale-faced woman started asking how Evans was feeling, because whatever they say, they might call her Cedric's doctor. Ariel can safely be called his doctor because she appeased his madness, as no doctor or priest in the empire could do. She asked who she was if not a doctor, to which she received the answer that the girl was a perfumer. The man took the lady's hand and led her to the ballroom. Immediately everyone started talking about the couple, saying they didn't believe they had a purely commercial relationship. Cedric suddenly asked if the lady had changed her perfume. The thing is that this aroma turned out to be incredibly captivating. It retained the shine of iridescent waves and the calm of the sea. The Duke was surprised that Ariel could express these feelings so beautifully with the help of a fragrance. The man began to tell the lady about a magical island where the sandy shore turns pink. The Duke, suggesting that the girl might like it, suggested going there in the summer. Finally, an older woman appeared at the ball, with a fan in her hands. This woman was the empress of their country. Suddenly, the girl thought that the Empress has the greatest power in the country, and that this is the best opportunity to advertise her perfume. The lady thanked Evans for accepting her invitation, as she was happy to see him after a long time. The Empress looked at Ariel and asked if she was his companion. The Duke introduced her, to which the woman stated that this was the first time Cedric had brought a companion, and it was clearly and plainly said that entry without a partner was prohibited. The woman suddenly noticed that Lady Winston exuded a very pleasant aroma. She concluded that it was similar to the aroma of the herb received as a gift from a neighboring kingdom. Ariel confirmed the woman's words, saying that the new perfume was created based on the Trey herb. This fragrance is not yet for sale, but the girl had a bottle. The Empress tried it, saying it was amazing, but the stuffy air was suddenly filled with a feeling of vigor. Compared to the Trey herb, it was deeper and more elegant. The perfume will surely gain popularity, as the Empress herself praised it. But suddenly, Her Majesty was distracted by the news that Minister Rowell was seeking an urgent meeting. She asked Evans to accompany His Highness for a while. The aristocrats immediately attacked the perfumer, asking her to use that same aroma. Ariel immediately concluded that her business today was a great success. The girl just wanted to lie down and rest when the fifth prince appeared nearby. Kyan stated that his mother really liked the aroma. Ariel smiled, saying that the man didn't help her much, but still helped her, to which he said that even her smile was beautiful. And it was at that moment that the Duke appeared in front of them. He threateningly declared that if the prince had not found a partner, then there was no need to covet his companion. To this, the blonde stated that they were just chatting a bit. The prince hurried to remind Cedric that he and Winston were only business partners. Disgraced, the man took Ariel's hand and led her away. She asked the Duke to let go of her hand because he was squeezing it too hard. Evans asked why the lady kept communicating with this scoundrel. Ariel said that contacting him could help business if he was from the imperial family. The Duke started asking her if she was interested in this boy only in business terms, or if she liked him. Cedric frowned and declared that he was superior to him in blood ties. She understood that they were enemies, but she didn't think they were that much so. The Duke declared that when problems arise, it's best to get some fresh air. The man took the girl to the Imperial Palace greenhouse. Ariel suddenly realized that Cedric was the blonde's uncle. Suddenly, the lady saw a rare herb whose aroma recalled mint and mustard at the same time. She sighed because she didn't bring the diary she needed. Cedric concluded that Ariel really liked being here. The Duke invited the lady to stay here a little longer because he would like to spend time together, to which she agreed, saying the view here was too beautiful. The lady said she would like to come back here, to which Evans said whenever she wanted. The Duke has an urgent matter and will not be able to accompany Ariel, so he is forced to leave. Meanwhile, the prince concluded that Ariel is a weak spot for the Duke, as he was very angry about the ball. At one point, he wondered why his mood had suddenly deteriorated. At the ball, the first and third princes were introduced. The first prince was Louis, a handsome blonde man, and the second peer looked absolutely the same. His appearance shone even brighter than before. The brothers immediately teased the blonde, telling him he should greet him. The man didn't understand why he was here if he was supposed to be studying abroad. Another brother denounced that the youngest of them is very vulnerable. But suddenly, they showed very unpleasant news, or rather a newspaper where the prince had fallen from grace. The man asked his brothers to leave as soon as possible. Suddenly, the mother of a wonderful family appeared, and everyone started asking how she was. The Empress asked how his trip went. The gentleman stated that during this time, he crossed the eastern continent and mastered various martial arts. But my mother said that Kyan hadn't done anything stupid, and that was fine. The youngest was asked not to go to the family dinner if he didn't want to be embarrassed again. Ariel walked up to His Highness and asked why he was alone. But suddenly, the lady saw that the man was crying. The lady said it was very cruel, because she was sure there were many more cakes there. Kyan said he doesn't understand why people don't like him, and they despise him when he tries. But it doesn't work. Ariel reported that the prince himself expressed the cause of his problem. The girl said that it's all because he does everything to look good in the eyes of others. The perfumer said that if he wants everything to turn out well, then he needs to act for himself and do what he wants. The prince suddenly realized that even after what he had done, she still didn't hate him. So Kyan declared that he liked Lady Winston, but the friends didn't even suspect that they were being photographed from an angle. Soon these photos began to appear in the newspapers, and Cedric saw it. Early in the morning, Rena handed the lady a newspaper containing those very photographs. A month later, next to Ariel's shop, a new elephant, Magnus, was already standing. The man invited people and said that, in honor of the first day of opening, all products were at a quarter price. Everyone understood that it was several times cheaper than Ariel's perfume, and Magnus seemed determined. Winston still had no buyers, so Ariel suggested that Rena take a break. To this, she said that they were not there at the moment, and in a couple of minutes they would already come running. Even if people flocked to them, they heard about a quarter of the price, and immediately left in the other direction, or rather, to another hall. The strange thing was that Cayenne stopped sponsoring and definitely closed the shop, and it was impossible to open it. Most likely, Fanta has a new, more successful investor. Ariel asked Aaron to fulfill one of her requests. The lady compared the aromas again and realized that Fanta's perfume was completely copied from hers. The girl concluded that if they continue to sell similar perfumes at such an unimaginable price, they might go bankrupt. Suddenly, Magnus himself arrived at the shop and said that they had a small room. Ariel stated that Fanta couldn't benefit from plagiarism forever. She also added that she doesn't know what kind of investor the girl got this time, but he will be embarrassed again. To this, the lady said that this time, she would definitely wipe Ariel off the street. Glancing at the papers, Red declared that they no longer had to worry about money management. The man asked what they should do with Evans, since he seemed to have already started an investigation. The boss said that instead of acting hastily, we must attack the weak points. The main character agreed and said she was just waiting for his order. Ariel headed to the trade guild. The girl thought that maybe Mrs. Jaina could help her. The woman smiled and asked about Lady Winston's fate here. She said she had found an excellent use for the Trey herb and brought it as a gift as a perfume. Jaina had heard a lot about them, but she didn't think she would experience them herself. One way or another, the woman only needed this perfume for its effect. She said that all she had to do was ask, and she would get Trey herbs at any time. The guild head supposed that if Ariel arrived before lunch, it meant something urgent. The lady got straight to the point, because she heard that the guild was going to visit the Kingdom of Monarch, and she only needed a unique product from Zayla. The girl simply needed iris dye. Although the dye produces an incredibly beautiful color, it is very expensive in the Empire due to the shortage of supplies. Ariel reported the exact amount of the product. Jaina was very surprised that the lady needed 50 million pieces and also asked her if she wanted Jaina herself to invest. The lady said she would make sure the 50 million would be sold out. To this, Jaina said that this proposal came out of nowhere. The perfumer explained that she plans to win the Spring Festival, which will determine this year's color. If she wins, she will become the May Queen and also increase interest in iris dye. She also said that she assumes all responsibility. The woman declared that Ariel was a very deep thinker for her age. Even the butler said that this would bring no more losses, because if the guest's plan turns to foam, it will always be possible to sell the remnants on the continent. But there is only one problem. To get this iris, you have to cross a bridge. Otherwise, you will have to go around the monarch kingdom. It is strictly guarded, so it is necessary to apply for passage in advance. The butler said that usually it was possible to pay extra and permission would be granted, even if deadlines were not met. But after the change of city ownership, this became much more difficult. It turned out that Cedric Evans was the new owner, and it's not that he didn't accept bribes. It is too difficult to contact him. Ariel said she would solve this problem herself. If you think about it, after that moment, there was no possibility to meet in person, and she only delivered perfume to Anixia. And that was it. Ariel immediately realized that this was a scandalous article about her. And the fifth prince, the lady decided it was worth talking to him about this, and stopping, she asked Ern to buy her at least one gift. When Winston arrived, all the servants immediately started bowing to her and greeting her in a big chorus. They promised to provide the girl with first-class special service, so she chose a simply charming outfit in shades of red. The man said that all outfits suit the lady well, and he is sure that Duke Evans will also like it very much. But then the perfumer remembered that she had come to look for a gift for Sir Evans, and announced it, but she didn't even ask who had to choose a gift and got down to business. And the girl thought about how well customers are treated here. He gave her several options, asking what she liked, to which she realized that such jewelry was not suitable for a symbolic gift. And these scoundrels decided to take all the money from the lady. Ariel smiled politely and said that this was not what she was looking for. The shop owner apologized and asked what product she was interested in, saying they would not disappoint her again. But the man was surprised when it turned out that Ariel wanted to pick up something resembling a fruit basket. But immediately changing her mind, the perfumer asked for a bottle of wine. The lady was brought a book with several wines, but she chose the cheapest one. Ariel noticed that there was an item that stood out from everything else, and when she approached, she saw a necklace that was so expensive it was displayed alone. She immediately realized that by wearing it at the spring festival, she could create an amazing harmony. But the perfumer quickly got annoyed and said that this product was not for sale, but was only exhibited for demonstration. When asked when the exhibition would end, they told her that the exact dates were unknown, and that they could include her in the list of names for pre-orders. She wondered if the exhibition would end before the spring festival began, because it is so beautiful that Ariel definitely wants to have it. Upon leaving the shop, the girl saw a sign indicating the name of the shop owner, but it seemed familiar to her. To this, Ern replied that this is one of the owner's second names. It turns out that Cedric's full name is Cedric Rayner Richard Evans, but if Ariel had known, she would never have bought a gift for the Duke here. The girl even understood why Cedric was constantly mentioned. When Ariel arrived at the Duke's house, his advisor awkwardly asked her to wait a little longer. The girl started thinking that the man simply had no time, when suddenly he revealed himself to her. The lady wanted to apologize for the unexpected visit, when she noticed that the Duke was constantly seeking physical contact with her. She had a mark on her cheek from the pillow, and the girl concluded that she had disturbed his daytime sleep. The man asked what had brought the lady here, because she never sought a meeting first, to which he received the answer that Ariel needed help. She said she heard that His Highness governs the fortified city. She, to be more persuasive, said Cedric's full name and asked to allow the trade guild to cross the bridge. The Duke was perplexed, because he thought Ariel wanted to export perfume to Sela, but the girl explained that she urgently needed to get something this month. But the merchant said that without a pass for the bridge, she would return empty-handed, and if he gives his permission, it will be of great help. It will also help to correct the situation with the current decline. Ariel was very stubborn and preferred to solve the problem of the loss herself. The man declared that he was confident that the plan was brilliant, and that he would add the Merchants Guild to the list of merchants allowed to enter this month. The lady thanked the investor and told him that she would write a detailed report on the result of his ingenious plan. Suddenly, Cedric asked if the lady was thinking of getting married, which surprised Ariel. She asked him why he had suddenly asked that question, and he replied that he had seen in the newspaper that the lady had befriended Balur in order to marry. Ariel explained that these were just meaningless rumors, and that His Highness, the prince, had only confessed to her without permission. Hearing these words, the man became very angry and called the prince a damned child. Be that as it may, Evans admitted that he is sincerely glad that this rumor is unfounded. Evans again reported that before Lady Winston arrived, he was dizzy and had a fever, but nothing else hurt beside him, to which Ariel stated that he was making it up. She got up from the sofa and bowed in front of the investor, taking his temperature with her hand. She looked away and said that Cedric still had a fever. The man took her hand and pulled her towards him, so that the girl was much closer. The lady looked at him and wanted to say something when they were interrupted by the advisor's laughter. Ariel pushed the man away from her and gave him a gift. After that, Ariel, full of shame and incomprehension, quickly left the room. At that moment, the fifth prince was diligently drawing Lady Ariel on the canvas, whispering that he was bored. His sketches were truly beautiful, with straight lines. Kyan even started crying, upon realizing that he shouldn't have confessed his love to Ariel. The man's older sister saw this, and thought that she would not forgive Ariel for turning him into an even bigger idiot. A new aroma appeared in Ariel's room, and Rena finally smelled what Iris smelled like. It was the first time Rena smelled such an exquisite aroma. The girl proudly declared that the lady would definitely win the spring festival. The maid handed the girl a suitcase, telling her that an order had arrived, but Ariel didn't order anything. Upon opening it, the perfumer was surprised because she saw the same necklace. From the handwriting on the attached note, Ariel realized that Cedric had sent it to her. The girls discussed the fact that a new face would arrive instead of Charlotte this time. But suddenly they saw that Ariel Winston, the one called the girl with a terrible temper, had arrived at the festival. Due to the lady's luxurious appearance, all the girls said they were very happy to meet her. The perfumer exuded an unusual floral aroma. The girl friendly invited the aristocrats to try her new perfume. This perfume was made from lilies and exuded an exquisite aroma that would subtly reveal the noble charm of its wearer. Everyone liked the new aroma, and of course, the girls started asking where and how they could buy the newest perfume. Suddenly, Princess Lena appeared at the ball. The girls started saying that the lady immediately showed the insolence of a newcomer. Or rather, she was behaving too openly. The princess immediately stated that it would be impossible to become the May Queen because the color of her dress was too expensive to be fashionable. The perfumer bowed and thanked the blonde for the lesson, because the princess was indeed generous. Just as she had heard, Ariel reported that she heard unique news that the trade guild visited the port of Sela this time, and it is famous for its unique products. The girl said that the guild would soon announce that they had bought iris dye wholesale. Since few merchants would dare to bring iris from afar, violet blue was an extremely expensive color. Ariel explained that the reason for the high price was not the rarity of the iris, but supply problems. The lady became discouraged because the big birth happened very suddenly. The girl said that she brought many colors, so she decided to cover herself from head to toe in purple. The aristocrats immediately realized that if Countess Gilbert said it personally, then there really was a lot of goods. The princess immediately announced that the countess had committed a stupidity because the color violet blue symbolizes death. To this, Ariel blinked in surprise and said that in the language of flowers, iris means good luck. The lady laughed and said that the world of flowers is amazing because the flower that means luck has an opposite meaning. But the princess did not want to give up, so she smiled and reminded Ariel of the rumors that she was friends with her older brother. The girl sighed, making sure that a couple of gossip items could help with publicity. The perfumer announced that she had met His Highness a couple of times, but they did not have the same relationship as they write in the newspapers. Suddenly, Lena told Ariel to be much more careful, because the imperial family was too big of a prey for her. When His Highness left, everyone immediately started praising the girl for the color of her dress, asking her to try a little more perfume. Suddenly, another girl appeared in the ballroom and asked to try a little of the aroma too. Ariel immediately remembered that this woman was the true protagonist of the original, whose name was Lena. She was dumbfounded because there was still a long time until the main character appeared, and her participation in the Spring Festival was not mentioned. Lena smiled and congratulated the perfumer, calling her a genius. The girl started meeting everyone, and Winston couldn't understand why she appeared so early. The lady said she had to leave, and wishing her a good night, she left the hall. The girl wanted to be alone to think about everything, because Lena, according to the story, should be connected to the main character. Cedric, he understood that she and the Duke were close for business reasons, but they were destined to drift apart someday. Winston didn't understand why he suddenly lost his mood because of this. The villain's main thoughts were interrupted by the main character, asking what Ariel was doing here alone. The lady explained that she decided to take a short break. Lena approached her to inform her that the voting had already started and invited her to vote together. The perfumer clearly decided that she shouldn't worry about that now and needs to focus on winning. The voting began, and Ariel Winston was chosen as the first contender. The second was Lady Winbell. The woman said that following the iris concept, Lady Ariel presented an unusual outfit. And dazzling, the attendees said that Lady Winston seemed to have a unique characteristic and surpassed even the participants from previous years. But Lady Winbell attracted the attention of the other participants with the charm of pure beauty, which cannot be seen from the Empire. Lena said that for her, it was a great honor to share the contender spot with the perfumer. An aristocrat, approaching the girl, said that Lady Winston should feel offended, because, since men's entry was prohibited, she couldn't bring the Duke as a companion. Ariel feigned a smile and said that if the Duke had been here, he would have manipulated the votes and led her to victory. She started laughing and saying she regretted that the Duke was born male. The competitor approached the perfumer and asked her not to pay attention to them because they behave like this out of anxiety. Ariel literally prayed because she wanted to become the May Queen to destroy Magnus. It turned out that the first 2 votes went to Alina. The girls tried to support Lady Winston because there wasn't a single vote for her. But it turned out that the votes for Ariel accumulated from the bottom, and there was a significant number of them. And so, by a wide margin of votes, Lady Ariel Winston won. They gifted her a bouquet of flowers and placed a crown on her head. Aaron met the lady and immediately realized that she had fulfilled her plan. the girl realized that she should move directly to the contract. From that day on, everyone started dressing in this unusual color because it was recognized as fashionable. Everyone started asking why that perfume hadn't been for sale before, to which Ariel replied that it was a very rare flower, and fortunately she managed to buy a huge batch. The fact that my lady became May Queen quickly spread throughout the empire, and all the newspapers started talking about this wonderful event. Thanks to this, the demand for iris dyes has increased, and they have become a big plus. Absolutely, everyone understood that with this Ariel had thoroughly wiped Magnus's nose. To congratulate Winston, the Duke brought the lady a cake, expressing his admiration. The girl also noticed that Cedric perfectly complimented her look by gifting her that necklace. To this, the man just smiled and hurried to invite Winston to dinner, under the pretext that they hadn't seen each other for a long time. But the lady refused, saying she was very busy today. And suddenly, the fifth prince appeared, who also decided to invite the girl to eat with him. His Highness declared that he felt Ariel would be the May Queen. He said it had been a long time since they went out together, and they would like to spend this time together. But Evans, grabbing someone else's hand, instantly declared that he was talking nonsense, and that he should come to his senses. Kyan suddenly said he had come for a reason, but to talk. The man said he wanted to make Ariel Lord Kyan's personal perfumer. He explained that last time he behaved irrationally and couldn't see the precious diamond right in front of his nose. Evans hurried to interrupt the prince, saying that Winston was already his personal perfumer and that he wouldn't allow her to be taken away. Meanwhile, Rena noticed that Fanta had copied her perfume again. Even people understood this and said that somehow it was cheap here, but Lady Ariel's was much better. Hearing this, Magnus went into great shock, and at the same time anger mixed with desperation. The girl mocked her because the lady didn't have a single customer. She asked if she should seek help again. The girl handed him an intoxicating aroma, with which Magnus could regain her popularity. With her help, people crowded like zombies at the entrance of Fanta's store. They started fighting outside to get in, almost breaking glass and knocking down doors. Ariel had prepared a good batch of goods and was waiting for buyers. The girl thought that since she became May Queen, trade has been even better than before, and at this rate, the shop will have to expand. She even thought it would be a good idea to open a second shop and start exporting abroad. Upon leaving, Rena, Aaron, and Ariel saw the strange behavior of the people. As if under hypnosis, they were walking towards Magnus's store. They decided to observe and understand what was going on. Rena noticed that it looked as if people were bewitched by something. Ariel told Rena to look after the shop and that she would go inside and check what was really going on. Inside, people seemed to go crazy, holding bottles in their hands and laughing hysterically. Seeing this, Winston was horrified, because not only did it look strange, but even creepy. The surprising thing was that not only the customers were crazy, but also Magnus herself. The perfumer understood that if she suddenly didn't do this alone, then someone could help her. Suddenly, the fifth prince, Kyan, entered the same store. The man said he had received a notice about suspicions of using prohibited grass in the Empire's territory. The man ordered them to install a magic barrier and send a priest for treatment. He approached one of the ladies and, holding out his hand, brought her back to her senses with the power of light. And Ariel asked him what it was. To this, the prince said that the imperial family has divine power, and he is no exception. The man quickly realized that this was not enough, because the effect of the intoxicating aroma was too strong. It is a chemical substance made from a poisonous herb containing a drug. The prince thought about it, because this herb is prohibited in the Empire. Ariel shared that, in her opinion, Magnus did not do this alone because she was also under the influence of the drug. Winston said that out of curiosity, he could take a minute and try to help. Lady Ariel developed an elixir for a series of addictions, just as the prince asked her to do. The girl asked if the man had any suspicion about who might have done this. Kyan replied that he could guess who it was, since something similar had already happened 16 years ago. That day, money laundering and smuggling were successfully completed. The girl said that Magnus had already played her part, and that Belair would take good care of her. The man ordered the girl to try to carefully approach Lady Winston. He also clarified that only with her will they be able to revive this place. Entering the strange Fanta store again, the girl began to spray the elixir. It helped noticeably, and people came to their senses without understanding anything. Ariel, approaching Magnus, began to spray her perfume on her, bringing her back to her senses. She began to ask if the lady remembered anything. Fonta said that she took one last look at her store before leaving Bel Air. But then, suddenly, a strange smoke appeared and she fell to the ground. Ariel invited the girl to rest, saying it was very good that they managed to bring her back to her normal state. The prince said that, out of old friendship, he would speak well of Fonta in front of the imperial family, because all the blame could fall on her. The lady thanked the guys and sincerely apologized for everything she had done. She also said that in the future, she would help her with anything if it was in her power. Winston said that once or twice, the girl wouldn't get away with it. The investigation revealed that the Magnus Beauty Salon was used for money laundering. The perfumer asked if the empire was completely free of the Kang Guild, but few people know that the guild heads survived and escaped. It has been 16 years since they were driven out, and it seems that all this time they have been gritting their teeth and regaining strength. They have also established a new base, and the imperial family is now busy looking for them. They were the only gang in the best tradition of villains who appeared in the original. Khan is the final boss. They are cruel and ruthless as befits their status. The case of Duke Evan's heir kidnapping 16 years ago. Cedric was expendable in an experiment to cross a monster and a demonic creature, and as a side effect, Cedric went mad. Initially, Khan was supposed to appear on the scene only 2 years later. But given many circumstances, the plot goes against the original. Ariel deduced that Cedric was in danger, based on the fact that Khan was not expected to appear so soon. The girl got up and said it was time to go. She explained that she urgently needed to go somewhere, to which the man took her hand, and told her that it was dangerous and that he would escort her. To this, Winston stated that she was not the one who needed protection, and she was not small either, and that she could manage on her own. The prince said that the lady was going to visit the Duke anyway, but she didn't understand what that had to do with him. The man said that now he understood for sure that the lady liked Mr. Evans. To this, the girl replied that it was not true at all. The man smiled and accused the lady of lying, saying that her ears were red. After that, Ariel sharply pulled away someone else's hand and said that it was really time for her to leave. The girl walked up to the Duke and asked Rick if he was inside. The man asked what brought Lady Winston here at this hour, but Ariel was thinking about something completely different, trying to understand by looking at how Cedric felt. The perfumer looked at the investor and asked to speak privately. Ariel said that even though it is late, this conversation is no less important. She asked if the Duke had heard the news about the return of the Kang Intelligence Guild. To this, the man threateningly asked where the lady got such information from. But the girl immediately thought that if he found out that Kyan told her this, he would be very angry. Ariel said that this organization had a bad reputation. The girl understood that among everything Cedric had experienced, the crime of the Kang Guild was the cruelest. The consequence of the incident was not only madness, but also pain and fear for the kidnapping experienced in childhood. In the original, when Khan returned, Cedric went into a frenzy, overwhelmed by rage. Evans asked what made the lady think so deeply. She said that everything was fine, but she herself thought that maybe everything was fine now. But gradually, Cedric's madness would intensify. She understood that he needed her, who could cure his madness. This girl who should be with Evan will be Lena. The lady realized that the presence of the main character was necessary for Cedric himself. The man asked if the lady wanted to tell him something. Ariel affirmed that she acted as his family doctor, and that he must inform the family doctor of any small detail related to his health. Winston asked if his rapid pulse had been bothering him lately. Cedric chuckled because Ariel was actually asking questions like his doctor. Evans said he felt normal, but he did not miss the opportunity to notice that the girl cared about him. The perfumer was always stopped by the thought that she would naturally meet the main character someday. A single question tormented Ariel. Could she be with him until then? Cedric offered to take the lady to the shop door, but she refused, under the pretext that the shop was very close. The man thought that the dog had settled in the underground sewers, and the fact that they established a base in such a place indicates the resumption of their activities in the Empire's capital. Evans asked if anything had been found about the 16 years case. The Duke concluded that they had done a lot of dirty work to match their reputation. It is enough to think about experiments on the human body. The man said that these experiences are the source of madness. In the process of crossing with a demonic entity, the blessing of baptism ceased to work. All this because Cedric could not be cured even by divine power. The employee said that for now these are just conjectures, but there is other information. Ariel Winston could be a prototype. If she was also a test subject, then that explains everything. The man realized that her abilities might appear as a result of this experience. There must be a clear reason why they attacked her. Suddenly, Cedric began to have a seizure and had trouble breathing. He fell to the floor and slowly began to lose consciousness. The man began to have memories that he and Ariel were locked in a cage. But as soon as Evans remembered the perfumer, the pain immediately subsided. Most likely, this is because she herself became like Anixia's aroma to him. Construction has just begun at the Winston Perfumery. People were surprised that the perfumery remained closed for the next 3 months. Winston herself explained that she plans to return with an expanded shop, and until then asks guests to wait. It was surprising, but a year had already passed since they opened the shop. The girl arrived at the palace, saying that she would bother them a little, while the construction of her shop was underway. The maids began to talk about Ariel, and the fact that she recently took the title of May Queen. Everyone commented that the perfume she created was very popular. Suddenly, Ariel's father burst in and greeted his daughter, telling her it had been a long time since they saw each other. The man asked how the imperial ball went, to which she replied that Her Majesty, the Empress, greatly appreciated her perfume, unlike others. She said that she also won the Spring Festival, and that now it is even difficult to cope with the flow of customers. Her Grace Duke Evans made additional investments in her salon. The father stated that he was already tired of hearing the news that his daughter had taken the title of May Queen. The man said that, as expected, his daughter is simply incredible and he is very proud of her. The girl sat in her room and thought of a way to stop Khan. After all, who knows if they will do this again, and one must be prepared just in case. Ariel concluded that she should protect Cedric in the current situation. However, the lady did not know exactly when they would meet the main character. The perfumer came up with ideas to try to create different antidotes, based on information about the Kank Guild from the original. In her attempts to implement these plans, the girl suffered many failures, as well as explosions, and accidents on her desk. When everything exploded for her again, Winston concluded that she had been a complete failure. The lady thought that she could manage without divine power, because the main thing was to have perfect knowledge of chemistry. Ariel gave Kyle several desserts. It was obvious, because only there could she make it work. Suddenly, the girl started asking the man about his divine power. She said that her older brothers were busy, so she had to solve it. The lady thanked the boy for coming to the rescue, because without him, nothing would have been resolved. Furthermore, the man hurried to apologize for throwing the confession at the lady, and then behaved terribly out of jealousy, which he is very ashamed of. But the girl had a big order for the prince regarding that intoxicating aroma. She knew this was due to the Khan Guild and wanted to be prepared in case of an emergency. For this, Ariel needs his divine power. Kyan said that the imperial palace also fears that everything will get worse and that he, if it is in his power, will help in every way possible. The girl smiled and said that in that case, she would contact him soon. But the prince stopped the girl again, telling her that he would help her if she created a perfume for him. The girl's father was discouraged to see that His Highness had arrived at her palace. The man explained that he had decided to come because Lady Winston would make him a perfume based on an old friendship. The old man tried to shake the prince's hand, saying his daughter was the best and the most brilliant perfumer. The friends entered the laboratory, and the father was incredibly happy that his daughter had finally grown close to the imperial family. Ariel said that first you must outline the general concept of the aroma that Keanu likes. But the fifth prince was thinking about how to get closer to the lady, because he now arrived at the place where she spends most of her time, which means she considers him a close person. Winston asked if the man had a favorite aroma, but he, moving closer again, declared that what he liked most was the smell of Lady Ariel. But this was only his fantasy, and Ariel invited him to try several to choose from. As expected, the blonde has clear preferences. Furthermore, the girl demanded an image that the man would like to embody with the help of an aroma. He didn't think much about it, but he wanted to resemble the imperial family. Moreover, soon there will be a ball in honor of the foundation of the empire, and famous people will gather there, and influential ones. The prince said he wanted to show everyone that he had changed enough, and the lady said she could rely on her. After all, she will make the best perfume that suits His Highness. Cedric concluded that Van would take advantage of the Empire's foundation, day to act. The man said that Aaron could manage alone, but there was no guarantee. The counselor was surprised to learn that Evans wanted extra security for Lady Winston. Cedric declared that he would come to her as a knight or guard, but Rick reminded His Highness that on the day the Empire was founded, each of his hours was scheduled at 10 points. He didn't understand how a man could leave everything so easily and start following Lady Winston. But the Duke replied that in every matter there are priorities. For 3 days and 3 nights, the Imperial Palace opened its doors. Even the streets were filled with the noise of the magnificent feast. In other words, it is the most important day of the year. Ariel could not miss such a scene. The girl's image was, as expected, beautiful and luxurious. At a wonderful festival, the perfumer was greeted by Lady Charlotte. She congratulated the girl on the title of May Queen, because she must have used this perfume at the Spring Festival. Charlotte said that in the Empire, there is no equal to Iris perfume. In an instant, 2 handsome men approached the lady. They introduced themselves. One was named Sion and the other Seth. Ariel did not exactly intend to make friends with the children of the aristocracy. But this perfume suits women's preferences more than men's. Charlotte said she was happy to see both of them and hoped they would have another chance to meet. Shin smiled and offered to accompany the lady to today's celebration. Winston politely refused, saying she wanted to spend time alone with Charlotte. The children immediately attacked the boys, saying that their annoying offers were causing the lady trouble. They said that Lady Ariel did not want to spend time with them and that they should leave. Suddenly, a friendly lady approached the lady, asking the name of today's perfume. She couldn't believe that Ariel had created this perfume herself. The girl was waiting for Ariel's shop to reopen. To this, the lady said that the construction was almost finished and she could visit her salon soon. But in a moment, Lady Winston's father appeared for the holiday. All the aristocracy was gathered at the ball, and of course, they could meet her father. He started scolding her for being completely immersed in her business, but the perfumer asked to talk when they changed the environment. Moving away, the father declared that the time had come for the long adolescence period to end, and that the time had come to fulfill the duty of the heir to the Winston County. To this Ariel apologized and said that she does not plan to get married. The man supposed that the girl was tormented by thoughts about Duke Evans, and that's why she didn't want to get married so much. He said that if she waited, the Duke wouldn't pay attention to her. Her father began to say that the Duke kept her close to him only to avoid annoying marriage proposals. But suddenly, Duke Evans himself, who was behind, heard everything. Ariel understood that if she and the Duke were seen together again at the ball, everyone would start whispering. The girl said that her father shouldn't worry about her marriage, because she would still take responsibility and inherit the title of Count. She must be a young and stupid daughter in his eyes. But after all, she is the only heir to the Winston County. The girl returned to Evans and asked what business he had with her. Before the whole matter, Cedric asked permission to invite the lady to dance. Everyone started gossiping, wondering if Winston and Evans had started dating again. Or not. Previously, His Highness didn't pay much attention to Ariel, but human feelings can change at any moment. Lately, these two are always together. You just need a free moment. And by the way, they fit perfectly. The man told the lady to call him if she needed a partner. The girl thanked him for the offer. However, he couldn't attend every ball to be her partner. But this was just a display of courtesy, like a gentleman. The imperial family attended the ball, and the Empress herself noticed that Ariel came again with Cedric as a partner. But the lady boldly declared that she and Evans had clashed recently. The woman announced that, to tell the truth, she wanted to consult Lady Winston. The Empress said that the season would soon change, so new flowers should be prepared to plant in the imperial garden. It was a great honor for Ariel that the Empress herself asked her about the flowers. The perfumer said that irises are not so difficult to cultivate, and their color is in harmony with the national color of Bel Air. To be honest, until recently the flower did not arouse a woman's interest, but lately the princess is very fond of it. The Empress said she often hears from her that she can't believe she lost to a foreign flower. She thanked the lady for the advice and told her to wait for the next invitation. Winston decided that she needed to seize the moment and dedicate herself to business, or rather, advertise her perfume. The man was drinking expensive wine when he suddenly bumped into a blue-haired girl and spilled everything on the floor. The stranger apologized because she was still not used to such crowded places. The man asked if the lady was hurt and also said he would have a bit more to drink. Lena bowed and introduced herself to the Duke, saying she had just arrived in the Bel Air Empire a couple of months ago. She also said that very soon she might officially present herself to the palace. Evans thought about it, because they hadn't told him anything about the guest who arrived from abroad. The investor smelled a very familiar and warm aroma coming from the girl. Ariel thought that managing a business was difficult, but she succeeded and even received business cards from foreign aristocrats. Lately, everyone in the empire has been talking about Ariel. The man approached the lady and mentioned whether she was the creator of magical perfumes. The perfumer realized that it was very good that she attended the ball in honor of the empire's foundation, and maybe later she could advance abroad. A red-haired man approached the lady, smelling the iris aroma, and the girl began to advertise her product, because every hour it became more popular. But the stranger hit the mark when he reported that the girl mixed iris and geranium. Ariel was surprised by the stranger's knowledge when he said that the strong smell of geranium neutralizes landswood. He said it was a surprising decision because landswood is quite a magical herb, and just a little bit is enough to completely erase the smell of many herbs. The man said that he also liked the smell of that herb. He also noted that all you have to do is touch it, and it will completely remove all other smells. Furthermore, the stranger said that the herb has a special characteristic because it is the best component for creating a drug. Suddenly, the perfumer realized that this man was related to Ariel in the original. She didn't understand why he should tell her about drugs. Ariel understood that Datura was an obvious death flag, so there was no point in reacting. Seeing Ariel's scared face, the man shrugged and said he was just joking to get closer. The stranger said he preferred the smell of beautiful flowers to that of drugs. He asked if the girl had been to the port city of Sela, because this is a place of extraordinary beauty, and it is now at the peak of the last spring flowers. The view should be simply incredible. Red said he could take the lady there to see the beautiful sights. Realizing that the man was too close, Ariel was forced to refuse. The unknown insisted that it would be wonderful to talk about fragrances in a place where it was very beautiful. The fifth prince defended the girl and ordered him to release the lady's hand. The man threateningly asked what was allowed to be done in the sacred imperial palace. Judging by the red hair, the prince immediately concluded that this stranger was from abroad. The man stated that he was from Sender, to which the blonde replied that this was strange, because the neighbors of that place he had met clearly heard a special intonation of speech. To this he said, exceptions can be found everywhere. The foreigner knelt down and, kissing Winston's hand, declared that he would look forward to seeing her again. Kyan asked Ariel if this happens to her often, to which she replied that such situations occur periodically. The girl smiled, realizing that the prince had specifically come out to help her. The perfumer smiled and said that, surprisingly, His Highness is capable of performing very good deeds. And great ones. The man also said that the image change was a success, and that he uses her perfume every day since he received it from Ariel's hands. He announced with admiration that the opinions directed at him had changed significantly. The blonde said that she began to feel that people liked her. They started giving her compliments and smiling enthusiastically. His mother even praised him for handling the Magnus case. Kyan happily stated that thanks to Ariel Winston, he had finally been useful. The man smiled gently and offered his hand to the lady, inviting her to dance. Out of courtesy, she accepted and, standing next to him, began to waltz. The prince noticed that, as they danced, their smells mingled. He said he would be interested to smell what flavor she had. He sniffed and said Ariel smelled delicious. The prince became interested and asked what Ariel thought of him. He asked if she felt different. An impressive aroma emanated from the man. Ariel was lost in thought and didn't even notice how she bumped into the girl behind her. She fell. She covered her face with her hand and cried silently. But suddenly, the girl realized that at that moment, she was literally lying on the fifth prince of the empire. She asked if the lady had hurt herself, as everyone around them started looking only at them. The duke noticed this spectacle and realized that the prince's confession was not an empty rumor, and that he was going to marry her. Cedric abruptly asked to cancel tomorrow's meeting. Perhaps because the festival was in full swing here, the city was too crowded. Aaron asked if the girl was going to attend the ball today. To this, Ariel replied that she had something more important to do than the ball. In the middle of the street, there was a crystal elephant that looked alive. Aaron stated that if the scales were removed, they could be sold at a high price. The man hurried to explain that periodically it sheds its scales, and that he simply collects them. The price varied greatly depending on the condition of the scales, but it was still expensive. In an instant, the lady ran into Cedric at the festival, who was looking at her with concern. The Duke immediately asked why Ariel was not at the ball, but walking around the city. When asked what made Cedric run from the palace, he replied that he wanted to have fun. Ariel saw a tent, or rather street gambling, that can only be seen on the day of foundation. The girl invited Cedric to try the rainbow roulette together. The investor briefly borrowed the lady's food to check its quality and safety. After making sure there was natural dye there, he returned the scroll to Ariel. Evans suggested that the lady should have a day off, and sometimes it was necessary to spend the day idly entertaining oneself. The perfumer agreed, but said she didn't come here to have fun. The girl came here for the open auction that will start right now. Ariel decided to keep secret why she came here. But due to many questions, the lady gave the Duke a hint: sperm whale. He tried to guess what the perfumer wanted to buy. It seems the beginning has arrived, and one day it became clear that the goods had an unimaginable price. The man suggested playing a game, guessing the final price of the goods, and the one who guesses more wins. But the lady said that, in such cases, you have to bet something. Evans suggested that the loser should grant the winner's wish. Ariel agreed, except for something very expensive, and that would take a long time. The man asked what she thought was too complicated and would take a long time. Ariel replied that a mutual agreement would be enough. The girl felt uneasy, but still didn't think that Cedric would come up with something incredible. The auction began. Someone bid 200,000 bis, someone a whole million. The bronze statue was sold for 1,000,000 bis, despite its small size. It was strange, but Evans always won, and Ariel gave an insufficient figure of the cost. Finally, the time for that very sperm whale came, and the girl was enormously delighted. The thing is, participation in the auction was not forbidden. The haggling began with sperm whale fat. Some donated $800, others $1 million, some even $200 million. The man asked what the lady expected, to which she replied that it was too early to set the price. But suddenly, at the end, all the byproducts were auctioned off, and the starting price was 5,000 bis. After thinking a little that the content of the byproducts included tendons, fat, and whiskers, the girl offered a starting price. She left the auction happy because Ern was already taking out the boxes with its contents. The knight suggested that these things were much more valuable than they seemed. The world of the original is similar to the world where Ariel lived. You can find an analog of most of the components a perfumer needs, but there is only one thing that cannot be substituted: the sperm whale calculus. This material is so valuable that it is called the treasure of the sea. If you add it to perfume, it will last much longer and acquire a deep, rich aroma. And Ariel managed to get this material at a low price. Upon leaving the building, the girl looked up at the sky and saw beautiful fireworks. As the crowd grew, the Duke suggested that the lady go somewhere else. Cedric sharply pressed the girl against the wall, saying he was afraid the crowd might drag her away with them. Ariel asked if the Duke was okay, because he was behaving extremely strangely. But the man didn't seem to hear her, saying that wouldn't work and it would be better if they went up to the roof. Cedric apologized in advance and abruptly picked up the perfumer in his arms to get her out of the large crowd. A couple of moves and the couple found themselves on the roof, where the entire street was in sight. Evans suddenly filled Ariel with the fact that in the recent argument he won. The girl smiled and said that since he won, then he should make a wish. The lady thought that Cedric would ask for 10 free bottles of medicinal perfume, but he, smiling at the corner of his lips, wished to hug the perfumer for a moment. He said it would take him a second, and he would let go immediately. Ariel hurried to remind him that they had been separated for a long time. Besides, she said that if someone saw them, they would immediately pin them to the wall. The girl decided that she needed to prove her judgment wrong, so she agreed to give him a hug. The Duke pulled her towards him and hugged her tightly. The smell of pine needles emanated from him, and she couldn't understand why the second lasted like an eternity. Cedric thanked the lady for fulfilling his extraordinary request. Apparently, Winston was tired because she overslept. Rena remembered that today is the interview day. The girl also said that Ariel called the Duke while she was sleeping. Nothing serious happened, but Ariel couldn't stop constantly recalling yesterday in her memory. As expected, Khan took advantage of the festival to send hitmen after Ariel. The man decided that from now on, so that the lady would be safe, he would not move a step away from her. A guy named Lavi came for an interview. The girl asked, first of all, to tell about himself. He said that he loves perfumes, so he graduated from the chemistry department of the academy, ranking second in the promotion. And his main goal is to become the brilliant perfumer of the century, just like Ariel Winston herself. The boy started telling me that he was very surprised when he smelled the first perfumes, and that he had never found such a fresh and deep rose scent anywhere. He said his perfume is like a textbook for him. The girl said that she and her boyfriend had passed the selection process, but Cedric was surprised that Ariel decided to recruit greenhorns with no work experience. But the lady objected, saying that work experience was not a mandatory point. She also announced that both candidates have sufficient skills. The lady also noted that among all the candidates, they showed the greatest passion for perfumes. Rena and Ern were very happy to have new colleagues. Some things were needed for the new perfumery. Firstly, good employees and large premises, and secondly, knowledge of the perfume called Ariel Winston. And thirdly, a new perfume that will bring all the above points. Ariel said that to develop a new product, she would lock the laboratory door for a while. Half a month later, the day of the opening of Ariel's perfumery arrived. The lady told everyone that her new shop was going to open again. Everyone wondered what changes awaited them. The new employees were very worried because it was their first job. The girl taught Rena and Erna to mentor those young men. But suddenly, an investor appeared at the opening and handed the lady a gift. It was surprising because Ariel hadn't contacted him yet. The box contained Ariel's crystals. The girl thanked the man for the gift, and the new employees began to wonder what kind of relationship they had with Evans. The fifth prince ordered a barrier to be installed around the shop. When asked why this barrier was necessary, the man replied that it was protection. Ariel thanked the blonde for his concern because it was very kind of him. The boys started greeting guests as the shop finally opened. The service was very pleasant and polite, thanks to the new staff. But the perfumer concluded that with the increase in staff, it became much easier. But suddenly, a lady asked what the name of the perfume that Ariel herself uses is. Ariel said that this was a new product that went on sale starting today, and then suggested we try it. This perfume exuded a luxurious and sweet aroma. Vanilla is interwoven in it, resulting in a feeling of subtle sweetness. With jasmine full of invigorating beauty as a base, people will be able to enjoy the aroma for a long time. The girl said that the aroma is very deep and mysterious. So Winston decided to tell him that they contain a special ingredient, and it is the base note that complements the amber. The customer was surprised that the aroma remained on the skin from morning till night. Rena compiled a report that half of the stock of Aesthetics of Charm had already been sold. The surprising thing was that the most popular perfume was not even advertised. To this, Ariel said that Aisha is wrong because the perfume is being advertised even at this moment. The whole advertisement was that the girl sprayed herself with it before receiving guests. Thanks to the popularity brought by the title of May Queen, the lady decided that there was no need for additional advertising. It was all because Ariel Winston herself had already become an object of necessity. The girl couldn't even think that the stock would run out so quickly. Despite being very busy, they achieved great results, and Ariel suggested that the three of them celebrate. Duke Evans entered the shop and asked her to join the fun. Cedric somehow figured out the schedule again and arrived right at closing time. The man explained that by catching the scent of the current perfume, he guessed it was a new product. Cedric said that this aroma is as seductive as it is beautiful. The knight and the maiden decided to leave the couple alone, under the pretext that they would bring more food. The girl noticed that he wouldn't take his eyes off her. Cedric skillfully noticed that Ariel kept avoiding the man's gaze. Evans noticed that his gaze was fixed on only one person. But Ariel was surprised, to say the least, when she realized that Cedric might like Ariel. After this night, the girl couldn't sleep and believed that Cedric might like Ariel. Since her head was completely a mess, the girl decided to get some fresh air. She understood that even if Evans liked Lady Winston, while he was involved with Lena, he would follow the original. But if events suddenly deviate from the original plot, there is a possibility that her fate is connected with Ariel's. In an instant, under her window, the lady saw the main character doing something here in the middle of the night. Lena apologized and said that she didn't even know that the working day was already over. Since the lady still couldn't sleep, she invited the girl for a cup of tea. The lady felt very embarrassed and explained the late visit by saying that in their area everything works late. The guest said she had business with Lady Ariel. Ariel thought the girl was very kind, but didn't even know that originally Ariel was going to kill her with a poisonous perfume. As it turned out, the perfumer accepts production orders, and Ariel asked if Lena wanted to place an order. The girl said that the smell doesn't matter, but she really wants a magical perfume. Winston apologized for this, because she does not accept orders for magical perfumes. After all, not only is there a high probability of failure, but a large deposit is also required. And if something goes wrong, Ariel must take full responsibility. But the blonde asked to hear her circumstances and then make a decision. She said she was from Sender and had stayed in the Bel Air Empire for a short time. The reason for her stay here is that she wants to be cured of an old illness of unknown origin. In other countries, there was no treatment, and she had to come here. Here, Lena heard the same answer and then learned about Ariel Winston, who is a brilliant perfumer of the century, and that maybe she can cure her illness. The perfumer stated that she is not a magician, she only makes perfumes. The lady said she wouldn't mind if they failed, but that Ariel could help. The girl did not remember Alina's similar attitude in the original. She is the main character, and if you can help a person, then the lady is ready for it. The perfumer said that it is unlikely that the illness will be completely cured, but she can try to relieve the symptoms. The lady said she would send the deposit tomorrow, but for now, she would take her leave. Ariel began to think that she had imagined all this, because it was unlikely that the original could change. The girl approached the dungeon and promised that she would definitely get Theo out of there. The lady arrived at the only place in the Empire where holy water flows. Aaron said that people come here to be healed and cleansed, and the priests use this holy water for blessings. Ariel wanted to use holy water and perhaps be able to create a perfume that would take Alina out of her misery. But for the holy water to take effect, it is necessary for them to receive a blessing. They just need to embark on the path upwards. The priests were up high and were blessing the people. The goddess of destiny, Selena, gave Ariel peace and tranquility. The priest declared that the goddess would illuminate her path and send her eternal blessings. But suddenly, the girl saw that the fifth prince was in the priest's place, who asked her what she was doing here. He reported that there was a labor shortage and that he was here to help because he had powerful divine power, even by the standards of the imperial family. And Winston said she was here because she received an order and was going to make a perfume with a healing effect. But unfortunately, it is forbidden to take holy water out of the territory. But perhaps the girl could have managed it with the presence of a herb. Celestine herb is a plant that contains divine power. If you submerge it in water while reading a prayer, the water will become sacred. But you won't be able to get the herb either. The man provided Ariel with some holy water and offered to develop a perfume in the temple itself. The lady thanked His Highness because he had taken all the ingredients just in case. It was surprising that the girl created the perfume so quickly and easily, but it took her a long time to research. Suddenly, Ariel saw Sasha and Eileen. The thing is, Sasha felt unwell and wanted to receive the priest's blessing. The perfumer said that it also feels good here to create perfumes. It is based on the pure aroma of Lily of the Valley, and she added holy water to achieve a blessing effect. The girl handed the bottle to Sasha, spraying the product she had just made. The girl's fever immediately subsided, and it became easier for her to breathe. Winston was very glad that the effect was positive. The fifth prince was astonished, because he had never seen such an effect from simple perfumes before. Although it is a perfume, and the effect will not last longer than 3 or 4 hours, it will still be useful. The man had an idea and suggested creating more of this perfume and distributing it among those in need. This will reduce the work of the priests and may help those who have difficulty reaching the temple. Ariel promised that she would make as much healing perfume as possible. The girl said that she mixed holy water with magical herbs that had an analgesic effect. The composition also includes the May lily of the valley flower, which provides a subtle aroma. When the main character sprayed the elixir, it became much easier for her to breathe. The girl explained that the perfume could not completely cure the lady's illness, but it would sufficiently alleviate the torment. Alina, taking Ariel by the hands, said that when she returns to her homeland, she will definitely advertise her perfume. The girl looked away and thought that with this, she could save her brother. The girl appeared in that very cage, waking up her brother. He asked her where she was going, to which she replied that she had some business to do. Alina gave the boy the same perfume, saying it would alleviate his suffering. She stated that this analgesic was created by the most brilliant perfumer in the empire. She asked him to use them every 4 hours, because she had quietly emptied the perfume from the vial and asked him to hide it well. Suddenly a girl appeared and asked what they were doing. Researcher Kana reported that she entered without the boss's knowledge and that the girl might be lying. She took the perfume away and asked if it had any effect. The girl said that, with this, it would be much easier to conduct experiments. The director ordered Fila to report if he noticed any strange reaction. In the evening, there will be an official dinner with the kingdom, and the man concluded that it is not too late to return to the palace. Helena was reminded not to forget whose trust she needed to earn. His love is so deep that during the last ball in honor of the Empire's foundation, he confronted all the mercenaries. But fortunately, Evans killed them before the boss got the information out. It was fun for them to watch how the Duke crossed all boundaries of decency, and the informant asked to deal with him. Elena said the man could trust her. Evans thought today was a beautiful day, and it was a pity that the weather didn't cooperate. Kyan heard that they had invited guests from the Kingdom of Sender. The men talked about seeing a man and a woman from there. Evans reported that he thought Helena wore the same perfume as Lady Ariel. The fifth prince said that in the past, he hated Cedric because he was perfect in everything. But now, on the contrary, he is grateful to him. At the imperial dinner, the Duke and the main character met again when Lena said it was destiny that brought them together again. Cedric said that the girl's perfume was given to someone he knew, which is why he remembered her. It was surprising that the heroine didn't wear perfume, but the Duke still felt a familiar aroma. The girl said that he and Ariel Winston met at the spring festival. The Duke said that he was an investor and was in love with the stage of the business plan. He suggested that with her exceptional talent, the shop would be a success. But the results exceeded all expectations. Alina began to worry that she and Ariel would be together again. In fact, in this case, if she follows the plan, on the contrary, she will arouse his hostility. The girl hurried to greet the prince and princess from the ball. Kyan immediately realized that the girl might be using a perfume similar to Ariel's. The lady said she was really looking forward to meeting both of them, and also mentioned that the prince once had his own business. She also said that she is looking forward to Ariel's perfumes being distributed in her kingdom. The man showed the perfume that the lady specially created for him. Kyan invited the girl to try, to which she announced that it was a great honor for her. Alina began to realize that Winston was so famous that she was capable of influencing even the imperial family, and that she should not rush into her path. To revive the Can Guild, Ariel's great skills are needed. However, if such a public figure, known even to the imperial family, disappears, a serious wave will occur. Alina decided that a new plan was necessary. Suddenly, Duke Evans appeared from behind and asked what she was doing there. But suddenly, the man asked if the lady had ever seen a mark 16 years ago. He began to talk about his conjectures that the girl was an eyewitness to magic or mysterious experiments. The girl understood that he suspected she was spying for Khan, but she didn't understand why. She tried to look away, saying that it was very unpleasant to hear this and, by the way, she had never heard or seen such a thing. Then the man apologized, saying that he was simply conducting an investigation. He also asked her to let him know if she saw or discovered anything. Evans still remembered the smell of the place, where he was locked up 16 years ago. Cedric knew for sure that the girl was saturated with the smell of this place. The Duke checked all of Lady Helena's documents, but everything was clean. The advisor also reported that this girl has a royal personality. The only peculiarity is the disappearance of her younger brother when she was a child. Rick heard that at the age of 8 she disappeared with Brahm, but returned alone a few weeks later. It was also known that the Can kidnapped small children to conduct human experiments. If we assume that younger brother Wimble is a Can prototype, then Lena, who escaped alone after being kidnapped, could very well become Can's subordinate to save her younger brother. From all this, Cedric couldn't understand one thing. Why did she risk her life by entering the palace? She might be the main accomplice, so the Duke ordered a detailed investigation. If this investigation yields important clues, Cedric might understand why the Khans are obsessed with Lady Winston. He might find a way to cope with the madness. Rena reported that Ariel received an invitation from the Imperial Palace from Princess Lena. It was wonderful, because the princess invites the perfumer to a ball in honor of her birthday. Ariel was thinking hard about what gift to give her. It shouldn't be too luxurious, but not banal either. The maiden came up with the idea and said that the princess loved to travel. Euphoria Island, Tansari, and others, there are no places she hasn't visited. she especially likes the snowy lands of the north. She goes there often. They say the princess is a frequent visitor to the snowy lands because she wants to check the veracity of the legend. Winston decided that she would go there next week to create a perfume for the princess. A week later, the three of them headed to that very snowy place. For the first time in a long time, the girl admired the snow. Rena asked if Ariel had been here before, because in the circles where they live there is no winter. But suddenly, the girl saw the Duke there very surprised. The man was here to investigate, but I, a girl, received an invitation to a ball from a princess. So I decided to give her a perfume with the association of a place she particularly likes. The Duke said he likes to come here because of the legend about the fairy, but this is just a natural phenomenon. The man said that later at night it would get colder here, and that it would be better for Ariel to return before it was too late. Ariel carefully developed the recipe for the new perfume, based on her experience, and her brilliant talent in the knowledge of chemistry. Aaron and Rena returned with bags of food. Aaron asked the girls to rest because he would take care of dinner. The night really cooked very tasty, and the ladies were simply surprised. Although the girls didn't come here to relax, it turned out to be exactly that. Thanks to the beautiful view, Ariel shared that after moving, the only thing she did was work. At first, she was surprised by the fact that she had entered Ariel's body, but she was happy to be able to make perfume again thanks to this Ariel. After all, what she so desperately dreamed of in a past life has come true here. The girl understood that in the end, we can say that everything turned out well. Winston was thinking about who exactly Evans would come to see them. Rihanna said that they would clean up and go to the house, and that the perfumer would sit a little longer. And he would come. Ariel was very sleepy, but understood that if she fell asleep on the street, Rihanna would definitely complain. However, the girl fell asleep and had a nightmare about how the original Ariel poisoned the main character. When Ariel woke up, a worried Duke was already sitting next to her. He said it was dangerous to sleep in such a place, and that she had better go inside the house. The girl said she had a dream where Evans left her, to which the man told her he would never leave. Ariel noticed that Cedric's mood had worsened. Prayed. The man said he wished this wouldn't happen in his dreams. Cedric handed the girl his jacket and told her it was cold outside. Ariel realized that she woke up as soon as she felt the warmth. She wondered if the Duke had really been sitting next to her the whole time while she slept. To this, the Duke said that he simply could not allow the lady to catch a cold. Evans, seeing that the girl was sleeping alone, thought it was dangerous and simply sat next to her. He was afraid Ariel would freeze, so he hugged her a little. To this, Winston stated that she was still a little cold. The Duke couldn't think of anything better than tightly hugging the perfumer, warming her with his warmth. The girl knew very well that she should not get carried away by this man. Her mind was intoxicated with feelings, and she couldn't push away her ex when he kissed her. The lady apologized for not resisting in any way. The aurora borealis appeared in the sky, and the man said it looked like Aurora had decided to show herself. The perfumer smelled a delicious aroma which, according to Cedric, came from a flower. The flowers began to shine and seemed to glow, and the girl said it was incredible. It was an incredible sensation, as if the lily, jasmine, and iris blended together. The Duke said that they bloom only at dawn, when the northern lights appear. In the end, it turned out to be a phenomenon called the Aurora Fairy. Moments came to mind when she became May Queen, and when she opened her new shop. The flower awakened happy moments. One just had to inhale its aroma. The princess said she wanted to revive memories of her childhood. Now Ariel has decided what to give. The man asked if the Duke liked Alina, but recounted that not only did he fail to get closer, but on the contrary, he aroused unnecessary suspicion. The girl said she tried to start a conversation for a long time, but he ignored her and turned away. He apologized for not being able to execute the plan correctly, but he only got angry and took the girl by the chin and told her that he thought the Duke would fall in love with the pretty face. He concluded that in this case, Alina is simply useless, but she said that the Duke would attend a party in honor of the princess's birthday, and that he would try later. But the man rejected this plan, saying that in the morning Phil would give him instructions. The princess's birthday party day has arrived. Ariel was informed that His Grace the Duke had already arrived. The man congratulated her, saying that the girl was especially beautiful today. Although it's a small thing, it's better to accept it as thanks for accompanying her several times already. Cedric asked if the girl chose the gift herself, but after answering, he smiled, saying that the color was very beautiful. Winston felt embarrassed when the Duke took her hand, especially after the kissing incident. The lady began to think that yesterday's event was just a mistake. At the ball, they were greeted by the princess herself and noticed that once again they had arrived together. The girl asked to accept her congratulations, saying that her birth was a great happiness for the empire. His Highness was glad they came, so he wished them a good time. The Duke decided to stand out and give the princess gold bars as a gift. The girl promised she would use it wisely. Ariel decided that she needed to show what a real birthday gift was. Everyone understood why the lady hadn't appeared for several days, because she was making a new perfume. Duke Evans saw Helena again in the palace. The man decided that he needed to follow her just in case. Ariel couldn't take her eyes off the boy, although she wanted him to come to his senses. Suddenly, a doctor entered the room and immediately apologized for not arriving on time. The Duke asked to examine not her, but the lady's ankle. The doctor realized that there were no violations, as Ariel tried to prove earlier. The perfumer immediately understood that he just wanted to kiss a man. Evans said it was very good that the injury was trivial. After that, he offered to give the lady another dance. The girl thought that such an appearance was simply illegal. But suddenly, Ariel remembered that Cedric said he had a conversation with her. The man said he felt peace when the perfumer was near, and at first he believed this was just the effect of weakening madness. But now, he was sure that Ariel Winston was attractive to him. But before he had time to say this, the lady ran out of the ballroom. The girl didn't understand why she hadn't realized this before, because absolutely every moment, literally screamed about it. Cedric hugged her and asked her not to run away, but she said she wanted to be herself, and that next to a man that was impossible. Ariel wanted to say the whole reason, but suddenly her mouth was shut with a kiss. Cedric said she shouldn't worry because for him, Ariel is the main character. The girl began to wonder if she could change the course of the original story. The main question was whether the Duke would fall in love with her, and not a fictional character from the plot. The perfumer decided that she wouldn't know unless she took the first step. Everything will be fine because the story has already begun to change. And now the girl is not the supporting character Ariel Winston, but precisely that girl from the real world. But suddenly the lady disappeared, and the entire hall filled with a strange smoke. Cedric immediately realized that attacking this way was a trick by Khan. Rick shouted that he needed to leave immediately because something strange was happening. The Duke ran out to the street and, seeing the prince, ran up and asked what had happened. He reported that someone had hidden paralyzing fumes all over the palace. When a certain time arrived, this device distributed them. Security is trying to take control of the situation using a neutralizer. And the suspect turned out to be Helena, who was walking so sweetly through the palace. Moreover, since she appeared at an official event between kingdoms, it is worth assuming that the crime was planned. They started asking the girl who sent her, to which she replied that she didn't know anything. Cedric said he was conducting an investigation, and there is a possibility that Khan is holding the Winbell family hostage, and that is why she is acting under his command. Since he and his younger brother were kidnapped and Alina returned alone, her whereabouts are unknown. Recently, the Duke even showed her Khan's mark, and judging by her look, she knows it. The girl looked away and asked if she would tell everything she knew. Could they save her brother? Evans said there is a possibility, but that he can give a definitive guarantee. However, they must do their best because the girl will tell everything. The Khans want to use influence through the powerful demonic beasts they created. To contain them, a special chemical substance is needed. The Duke announced that with their skills, total control was impossible. They plan to use Ariel's skills to completely subdue the demonic beasts. 5 hours have passed since Winston disappeared. The girl was paralyzed and lying on a stone table. When the man saw that she had woken up, he approached. The lady recognized him immediately, because at a recent ball, he offered to accompany her. He introduced himself as the second guild master, Rode. The lady, looking at him, immediately realized that he was the gang leader. He said that he did not kidnap her at all, but simply wants to fulfill the lady's wish. Rode said it was a long time ago, and that perhaps the girl doesn't even remember him. Red said he would help the girl revive her memories. The Empress said that they had once again taken root in the system, and that it was possible to track them. Following the incident with the paralyzing smoke and the lady's disappearance, an emergency meeting was held at the Imperial Palace. The Duke announced that at that very moment, he would lead an army to raise Khan. The Imperial Guard joined forces with Evans's knightly order and managed to reach the base. Inside, it was full of demonic beasts. They were endless, and the fifth prince himself got to work. In the background, there was a huge garden where Onyxia was grown. In an instant, the huge crystal supplying energy to the flowers began to emit strange sounds. And to glow. They failed again, and yet, this time the probability of successfully creating a person was high. It was their merit that the second master chose the ducal family, and they were sure they would succeed. Ariel began to remember that she was small, and that she and Evans were sitting in the same cage. The girl offered to help the boy with the treatment because he was seriously injured. After all, she had a wonderful cure for all diseases, created by her mother. And in fact, the girl successfully cured little Cedric. Her mother was the most brilliant alchemist scientist in the Empire and could create anything. But unfortunately, Ariel hasn't seen her mother since she got here. When something unexpected happened to the carriage, she opened her eyes and found herself here. He was also dragged here after the carriage was attacked. Evans said that now both of them are in the hands of kidnappers. The girl suggested that they get out of here together as quickly as possible. They performed experiments on the boy and recorded observations that the highest level of magical power compatibility was registered. Test subject number 6 died due to a magical attack. The redhead asked his father to run the test. After all the torment, the girl continued calming the pain of other people with the help of her mother's elixirs. The children came to the conclusion that the Khans are genuine psychopaths, as they have been abusing children for a week. The girl said that, in any case, it would be good to run away from here together with her mother. To this, the redhead said that it was a laugh and nothing more. And then he introduced himself as the future second master. The boy said he knew where his mother was and asked her to follow him. These memories passed through Cedric with a thin thread of pain. It seemed that the crystal was about to explode from magical power. Cedric tried to protect the girl who was helping him, and taking a piece of crystal stood in front of the redhead. The Duke told the prince that he remembered everything and knew who kidnapped Ariel. The girl suddenly remembered everything, even the moment she found her mother dead. From that day on, she was forced every day to create perfumes for their own experiments. The angry boy continued to escalate things, saying that they would never let her out of here. He also smiled and declared that she belonged to him. Ariel remembered that they want to use her instead of her mother. They also tried to get rid of Cedric to unite her with him, but in the end, there was an accident for which an important experiment had to be suspended. And Rode was the one who led Kang to destruction. The man wondered what future awaited them if they united. The second master got angry and invited Ariel to stay with him and radically change this world. The perfumer stated with disgust that no matter how much she imagined, this would never happen. To this, the redhead replied that he could only force her to do this. He planned to brainwash the lady with the help of another experiment. Ariel has worked so hard to get where she is now that she simply cannot afford to be made cannon fodder. At this long-awaited moment, Evans finally arrived at the right place. Rhodes was surprised that the man could reach her in such a pathetic state. The Duke drew his sword and told Ariel to be patient for a while and that he would save her. A couple of blows and Cedric destroyed the crystals, thanks to which the spell dissipated. God, with the words that the Duke should simply not have interfered, threw the explosive canister, from which a strange smoke emanated. This smoke was from the demon world, which awakened more madness. The boss said that no matter how hard he tried, Cedric was still a pathetic little animal. The knights burst into the room and asked if his lordship was all right. The Duke couldn't get over himself and threw himself into battle, attacking his own knights. But the fifth prince came to Arn's defense, using his divine power. The nephew asked Evans to come to his senses, because now it is not he who needs him, but Lady Winston. Voices shouted in his head, trying to turn him against. They said to kill, and no matter whom. He rushed into battle again, but having already defeated the prince's divine power, he decided on the knights. Ariel took Ern's place, covering him with herself so that the boy would not hurt his friend in any way. The girl tried to bring Cedric to his senses. Suddenly, after many shouts, Evans finally recognized Ariel. Ariel understood that he was not completely angry yet, and just in case, had a sedative pill in her pocket. The man silently hugged the girl, symbolizing an embrace. The monks began to heal Kyan. The knight promised that he would return with good news and Ariel must manage on her own. The symptoms have intensified, and it will be difficult to cope alone. The girl would not like to use this method, but she has no other option. Ariel put the pill in her mouth and gave the man a deep kiss. Everything went well, because it is a powerful sedative and soon Evans will feel better. Finally, the Duke regained consciousness and spoke. The man hugged the girl tightly, telling her that he would never want to experience this again. All clan members were bound with powerful chains. Red declared that Cedric is still a monster, even if he is his father's successful creation. The blood of demonic creatures flows through Evans's veins, and nothing can change this. To this, the man said that he does not regret his mixed blood at all. Although there are some side effects, he has acquired obvious strength. It was nice because Cedric could gut anyone like some kind of rat. Ariel asked how to completely get rid of the side effects of human experimentation. Rhodes said that the girl is too naive, because there is no one on Earth who can cleanse the blackened soul. The body, even once intertwined with demonic blood, will no longer be able to return to its previous state. Winston's face showed disappointment for not being able to get the answer she wanted. Evans proudly declared that he no longer cared because he had already found his refuge. Red again tried to say that he was going to live a normal life, making perfumes as a merchant. Although now he can get things he couldn't even imagine, the perfumer asked him why he thought she would want to participate in the 8th grade games to conquer the world. After all, he will have to rot in prison for the crimes he committed. He started shouting that he had done a lot to meet Ariel, to which the girl handed him a perfume that could kill him with one click. They offered to take the couple home using a teleporter. There was only one rule in its use, one person at a time. Finally, the missing children returned home. Led by his lordship Duke Evans, they successfully dealt with the demonic creatures. However, at the last moment, the guild master, Khan, used suspicious magic against the Duke. This caused him incredible agony, and they didn't even find the courage to approach. Lady Ariel Winston was the one who saved the Duke. The Imperial Palace plans to contact the lady to prepare for emergencies. In addition to eliminating Khan and resolving the consequences, the guild master Khan, Rod Rizero, who became the main instigator of all incidents, was punished. His punishment was the condition of a lifelong slave. As long as he is marked, they will follow him wherever he goes. And if he tries to leave the country, the marked body part will explode. Ariel's employees, reading this story in the newspaper, reported that she had an interesting life. The girl was recognized as a heroine of love who heroically managed to save the Duke from madness. Winston gained enormous popularity among the people who admired him, who kept asking about that situation. Some even thought that the girl covered Cedric with herself, because the situation gave rise to many stupid rumors. But the girl was relieved, because thanks to this her sales increased. Ariel was examined by the court doctor, rested a little, and came out with new strength. Irina took good care of the shop when the owner was away. Now all employees manage perfectly without the appearance of the main perfumer. They did a great job advising on products, reminding customers that their products last a long time on the skin. Observing this, Winston concluded that there could be no problems in the future. On the second floor, a guest was waiting for the lady, or rather for Vin. The girl and her brother apologized for appearing so unexpectedly, but they wanted to personally thank Ariel. But Alina also wanted to admit that she had been deceiving the girl all this time, and that the fact that she was in danger was entirely her fault. To this, the perfumer said that the main thing is that everything ended well, and besides, she understands. Because the girl had a serious motive. The palace said that, since she provided information to eliminate the Kang Guild, and she is also a victim of human experimentation, they released her from punishment. But you can't undo what has been done, so if Ariel needs it, she will hurry as fast as she can to help. When asked what Lena plans to do next, the girl replied that she wants to become a student of the Magic Tower. It was a great idea, because in the original, Lena also dreamed of becoming a mage traveling across the continent, using magic to save people like her, who are in a desperate situation. But Alina's brother dreamed of becoming an outstanding knight, like Duke Evans. The girl asked why this perfume was necessary, because she assumed it was because of the side effects of the experiments. However, Rod ordered it to be made so that the experiments would be more effective, because if a person forgets the pain, they can tease him as much as they want. Ariel decided to give the boys the Onyxia perfume. She said that during the experiments, Lena was also injected with the blood of demonic creatures. Maybe not everything is as serious as Cedric's, but sometimes she may suffer side effects. And in those moments, this aroma of Onyxia will help her. As soon as they finished and Alina hurried home, the girl came out when she saw Evans. The man invited the lady to dedicate that evening to him. The perfumer was surprised how far this place was and had to use a teleporter. The Duke announced that he plans to visit Cendric, and he asked the girl to accompany him. Ariel asked the reason why they should visit this place. Evans suggested visiting first and then finding out everything. At the place, they were greeted by a sweet old woman who noticed the long journey they had to make. This woman was the high priestess. She asked if the lady the man had told her about was standing right in front of her. The woman moved a little closer to her, and the girl didn't understand why such an important person as the high priestess was studying her with her arm outstretched. The old woman asked Cedric to leave them for a while because she had a personal conversation with the lady. As soon as the Duke left, the priestess said that she knew Ariel had come from another world. She said she wasn't going to interrogate the lady. The perfumer began to wonder how much this lady knew, and if she knew that she came from planet Earth. The priestess stated that she understood what was bothering the girl because she had only witnessed this before. This is not a common thing. In her long life, the woman only observed it twice. The girl asked if there were other people who came from her world. They all managed to adapt very well, although Ariel got used to it much faster than these two. Winston immediately realized that she was from another world because she did not have the mark of God. Moreover, her soul radiates a different energy. Ariel suddenly realized that the Duke also understood the fact that she was from another world, and that's why he brought her here. The old woman declared that the Duke's fears were excessive. When Evans returned, the priestess said that Ariel was completely healthy. The girl asked if the Duke thought they had experimented on her too. Above all, Rode was obsessed with Ariel, and in the past, she was there with Cedric. The lady said that she performed chemical experiments instead of her mother. The lady was right, because Evans did not feel the demonic energy. The Duke said that, when he went down to the underground sewer, he remembered everything that happened in the past, and the fact that Ariel was the only reason he could hold on. The man asked if they were not due to a test, and what other reasons there could be. The perfumer guessed the reason, but did not know how to explain it. Similar symptoms are all known methods for treating carp, with ingredients from the demon world. Until that moment, Cedric's symptoms were described in the original as an incurable disease. But there is another way, but the girl doesn't know whether to mention it. But the girl thought that if the author himself wrote about this novel, it is unlikely to be complete nonsense. She hesitated and said that the second reason why the symptoms had weakened was love. Cedric's madness is caused because the blood of the demonic creature cannot completely mix with his own. The treatment required eradicating the nature of the demonic creatures whose blood was mixed with human blood. One way to treat it is by sweeping it away with human nature. In other words, feelings that only humans are capable of. The girl said that this was only a possibility. It seems to her that the author reread fairy tales, and it also seems to her that the reason is that he likes Ariel too much. The man said that this does not mean that such an opinion exists. It seems strange to him, but if she were of the same origin as him, the symptoms would have disappeared even at their first meeting. At first he thought there was a mnemonic effect, but at some point, things began to happen that could no longer be explained. The Duke planned to confess in a more appropriate place, at a more appropriate time, but he can no longer restrain himself because he is in love with Ariel Winston. The man did not know if he had the right to say something like that, but he was head over heels in love with her. The girl, in turn, reciprocated and also admitted her feelings. For a second, a strange thought crossed her mind. If the lady had really entered a fairy tale, then the word "the end" would appear under this scene now. A month later, Ariel woke up in her bed. Cedric lay nearby, asking if the lady had slept well. The perfumer began to stay at Cedric's estate more often, under the pretext of being the attending physician. Over the course of a month, she and Evan became even closer. In addition, the girl began to expand her perfume business. She also opened a second perfume salon in the Magellan area. Charlotte congratulated the lady on the opening and for having managed her business. Ariel suggested staying up late, not letting the perfume sell out. Elena also wanted to meet the mistress. Winston didn't know that the department store had a restaurant. It was incredibly beautiful there because Cedric chose the place. The place not only looked beautiful, but also expensive. Ariel realized that the more she looked at him, the shyer he became. For the lady, it was truly the perfect dinner. Evans suddenly reiterated that Ariel began to occupy all his thoughts, and he seemed to be in love with her. He realized that there was no way to stop these feelings. The Duke said that every day spent with the girl gave him great pleasure, so he knelt down and proposed marriage to the lady. Ariel, without thinking twice, said these dear words to which she agreed. Now they will fall asleep and wake up together every day. They spent that night quite normally, discussing where Ariel wanted to open a third store. She wondered if people abroad liked her perfume. Their conversations did not cease until dawn. The man pressed without warning, as if he always did this, and she, as if by magic, closed her eyes. And her lungs filled with aroma, and at some point, suddenly, confidence came to her. Even if Ariel smells this aroma for the rest of her life, she will never get tired of it. The wedding day has arrived. Looking in the mirror, the perfumer said that her efforts were not in vain. Even with the crowd of buyers, she had to sleep at least 10 hours. And the biggest problem, that day, she couldn't meet Cedric. And all because of the tradition that forbids the bride and groom from seeing each other for a week before the wedding. Rena said they should wait a little longer. Think about it, soon Ariel Evans will become a lady. Finally, the bride arrived at the ballroom of the Bel Air Imperial Palace. The priest asked the bride and groom to look at each other and say an oath. The groom swore that he would always love one and only the bride. The bride swore that she would always love only one groom. The priestess wanted to tell them to put on rings because they had already started kissing. Ariel stopped Evans and asked him to put the ring on her. They say that rings are the shackles that hold the marriage together. Finally, the old woman declared Winston and Evans husband and wife. Jaina herself personally came to the wedding to congratulate the perfumer on the wedding. The woman said that recently a gang of robbers has been operating at the western gate, and that problems may arise with the visit. The Duke stated that in any case, he planned to send a detachment of knights there, and that they would soon be defeated. Charlotte smiled, constantly calling Ariel Cedric's surname. The girl still couldn't believe this was happening, to which the blonde replied that it was because they hadn't had their wedding night yet. Ariel wouldn't mind just hanging out and chatting with Evans. The next night, they went to Euphoria's Island of Love. The girl was happy about the pink sand, and then Evans became her husband. They won't be able to walk for long, because evening will soon fall and it will get cold, so the Duke suggested returning to the villa. The lady got the feeling that the only thing she did during the day was eat. To this, Cedric only suggested adding a little more wine. Ariel was about to ask what kind of wine it was, when she suddenly dropped the glass. The man said that the girl was starting to worry for completely unexpected reasons. He smiled and, wiping the wine from someone else's hands, offered to go upstairs. The perfumer realized that it was already night, and they would have to spend their wedding night. Although the Duke suggested going to bed, Evans was very worried. The lady smiled, said she was fine, and went up to the second floor. Seeing the girl's shy behavior, Cedric laughed, although now was not the most appropriate time to laugh. Ariel threw him onto the bed, deepening into a pleasant kiss. The girl realized that Cedric was also worried when he chose to be on top. The next day, the couple decided to go to the beach. Evans asked if Cedric knew the malicious face he had now. In the evening, there was supposed to be a party in the village. The couple felt very calm because no one recognized them. Then, the Duke invited the lady to open her own business here. But suddenly, after overhearing a casual conversation, she discovered that there was a fortune teller somewhere around here. Ariel decided to look inside the shop out of curiosity. But suddenly, the lady saw a familiar fortune teller, one who predicted many truths. She didn't expect to meet her here, and the girl asked why Ariel should be here on her honeymoon. The fortune teller said it was a great honor for her to see such a brilliant couple live. She asked to choose 3 cards that could predict the destiny of the spouses. According to the cards, the girl clearly saw that these two were made for each other. These cards indicate that their future will be full of bright light. Although problems will visit them, they will quickly dissipate. And besides, they will be visited by 2 little angels. The fortune teller declared that Ariel would have twins. The girl was completely shocked by the fortune teller's words, as she didn't even suspect she might be pregnant. But Cedric immediately started thinking he would need to find a midwife and capable mages. The man said that if the fortune teller didn't lie, it's not so bad. He asked if the girl should look closer. In the past, Ariel drew the grandfather card in relation to the destined couple and asked with interest how his health was. Ariel again chose 3 cards and found that this gentleman's health is not in danger. This doesn't mean there won't be problems, but she will find a solution and face them surely. The man said that the twins would make his widow happy, but he thought it would be very hard for one girl. But the girl said that half of what was said was just fun. Finally, the couple arrived home, and the first thing Rena did was throw herself into the lady's arms. The staff, because she returned early, quickly decided to organize a congratulatory party. Rena asked why the lady returned earlier than planned, to which Ariel said that from today, she will be developing a new fragrance. The boys announced that they would help with everything the lady said, but Evans wanted to create the scent of the Euphorian sea breeze, smelling of palm trees, and overseas fruits, and the smell of musk mixed with pine wood. While the girl continued creating her new aroma, she noticed that Cedric had been waiting for her for a long time. He said that the girl was so focused that he decided to watch silently, to which Ariel only let him smell the new aroma. The lady decided to call this perfume Happiness, but in reality, it is a series of fragrances. But the first will be this one, the aroma of that very sea breeze. When asked how long she plans to create them, the girl replied that she doesn't know, and that perhaps it will take an eternity. Ariel wondered what the aroma that gave people happiness smelled like. It was the aroma of flowers, sworn bees, and butterflies. The girl spent a long time thinking about this question, but now she knows the answer for sure. The aroma of happiness she so wanted to reveal was actually the aroma of a person. Not a single fragrant flower or Cara species can surpass the smell of a loved one's skin. Cedric for her, and she for Cedric, are the only ones who allowed themselves to experience true happiness.